Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome. Hey, Susie. Hey, Sandra. Yeah, they definitely do that. I know they have a little fun going up. I'm gonna get board. Welcome in, Kate. We got about 30 minutes to start, but I always love hearing our guy, Mr. Cruz, his closing argument. I can't get the room started. I can listen to my guy give his passionate argument. I am going to get the post because they do have they are starting a fund for him, but then I think that Colin is going to do a deep dive into this to see what they can do in regards to the appeal in this case. I don't have any doubts that the judge is probably about to throw the book at him. She about to probably throw her book, your book, somebody else's book, everybody's book about to be thrown at him. So I don't have any hope that this wouldn't happen. So I know that that's not going to be an easy thing to go down because she's not going to be easy on him. I'm breaking up. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Am I still breaking up, Standard? I don't know why I'm breaking up. It's always something.
In regards to the state's comments regarding what we say, I agree. Okay, so if you heard things in opening that didn't come out during the trial, I agree. You cannot consider that. One thing you will learn is, or as Mr. Yalamachili said, the state has the burden. So typically, we decide what we're going to present based on what we feel is the strength of the state's case. The case presented to you these last 3 weeks, including jury selection, is what can only be described as a story of negligence, a carelessness for the life and the death of Ms. Baker that extends far past indifference. As you've heard through this trial, we have brought you more facts about Ms. Baker than the state. We've brought you information regarding how Ms. Baker was, that she believed in justice, that she believed in fairness, and that she believed in listening to everything before making a decision. She's similar to a jury. The state is bringing Mr. Faust before you today to accuse him of crimes that he did not commit. And of course, you don't just take my words for it, you look at the evidence. The state presented no evidence that Mr. Faust, if it's his DNA, you have to decide if it's his DNA, and we'll get into that. But the state presented no evidence that Mr. Faust's DNA means murder. The state presented no evidence that Mr. Faust's DNA means rape. The state presented no evidence that Mr. Faust's DNA means burglary. The state presented no evidence that Mr. Faust's DNA means arson or any of the other charges that they charged him with in this indictment. Mr. Faust and everyone involved in this case would like to thank you for your time, your dedication, and your willingness to put 100% of your attention into this case. And put aside your very, we understand how important it is, but your very important personal and business matters. But most of all, I want to thank you all for your courage. Because courage is what this moment demands. Not just to listen, but to stare directly at injustice and say, not here, not now, not on our watch. And that's what you're being asked to do. Stare down injustice. I want to start with a simple truth. You folks, not us, not anybody in this courtroom, you folks are the last line of defense between an innocent man and a system that has tried to break him. They falsely accused him, and that tried mightily to bury the truth. This case was corrupted from the start. It was corrupted by biases. It was corrupted by political pressure and a need to avoid admitting a mistake was made or mistakes were made in the initial investigation that you all heard about. And most fatally, it was corrupted by a lead investigator whose misconduct infected every single part of this case from the top to bottom. In our opening statement last week, we told you what questions to ask. We gave you a list of questions in our opening statement that the state would need to answer. And we warned you about the questions. We told you that the state will not be able to answer these questions with the evidence that they presented. And we begged you to try to answer those questions with the evidence that the state had presented. Those questions were, how does Mr. Faust's DNA simply being present in Ms. Baker's body, and again, you have to determine what the facts are. You may say it's not his DNA, but we're going to say worst case scenario if you say it is. How does Mr. Faust's DNA simply being present in Ms. Baker's body, along with 2 other DNA profiles, establish that he is the person that killed Ms. Baker? The next question, when did Mr. Faust's DNA get in Ms. Baker's body? Where's that evidence? If Mr. Faust killed Ms. Baker, how did Mr. Faust get into Ms. Baker's home? How did Mr. Faust get away from Ms. Baker's home unseen? If he committed the crime in the morning hours, I believe they said between 8 and 8:30 from the testimony in the stand when the individuals were seen walking in the neighborhood. If Mr. Faust killed Ms. Baker, why was the hair that was found in her hand, around her body, and on her body that did not belong to her, why was it of Caucasian origin? What evidence does the state have placing Mr. Faust in Ms. Baker's home? How does the evidence that the state has presented to you support that Mr. Faust broke into Ms. Baker's home, sodomized Ms. Baker, viciously beat Ms. Baker, raped Ms. Baker, strangled Ms. Baker, stabbed Ms. Baker in the neck, and set her apartment on fire while Ms. Baker lay dying? If Tara Baker was Chris Melton's future fiance, why would he forget whether she told him she would be alone the night before her death? You have to decide if that's something an individual that's been with somebody for 2 years would forget. Is that something a boyfriend or a husband or a fiance would forget if their loved one was killed due to being home alone. You have to ask yourself, how did Mr. Melton respond to Ms. Baker's death? And you heard the testimony on that, and we'll talk about that. But what I ask you to do is pay attention to the physical evidence. We're going to talk about the physical evidence. Pay attention to the science. The science is the most important thing in this case. The state wants you to believe that the DNA is everything. The science is going to be the most important thing in this case, and we're going to talk to you about the science. Pay attention to the medical facts that were given to you, but also pay attention to the integrity, which is the very essence, the integrity of this investigation. But you also saw something during the course of the trial that none of us might have expected. Something that should sadden us all. Something that maybe would anger us. On full display, you saw the lengths to which some, and only some, police officers will go to avoid admitting there were mistakes made in the investigation of Ms. Baker's case, to protect their own at the expense of the rest of us, at the expense of Mr. Faust, who is an innocent man. Before we examine the evidence in this case, which we absolutely will do, we need to understand the very foundation of the entire system of justice in which we operate. It is the bedrock on which this entire system is built. Reasonable doubt. And that term, you all have heard it before, but this term isn't just legal jargon. It isn't just a technicality, and it's not a slogan. It is a constitutional shield that protects the innocent and prevents the government from punishing without proof. The state has the high burden to prove every single element of every single offense that they've charged Mr. Faust with. And they have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt, which simply means a doubt for which a reason can be given. Not a vague or arbitrary doubt, but a doubt based upon common sense and reasoning, as the state advised you. But I want to emphasize this because it sounds complicated, but it's very simple. It's a doubt for which a reason can be given. This doubt can be, and the judge will tell you this. What I'm about to tell you, you're going to hear the judge say the exact same thing. This doubt can be based upon a consideration of the state's evidence as a whole, a lack of evidence, or a conflict in the evidence. And those powerful words are not just some legal jargon. They're a mandate. They're your obligation. They're your community's protection against injustice. In our system of justice, Edrick Faust sits here today, presumed innocent. He's cloaked in the presumption of innocence, and it protects him like a suit of armor from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. And that presumption is not fragile. It doesn't just disappear because there's a charge that comes about, or because somebody has a badge, or because the state has a theory. That presumption stands firm unless and until the state clears that high burden. The highest bar the law provides, proof beyond a reasonable doubt. That means at the end of this case, at the end of this trial, you think about one or more of the charges. You think, you know what? Maybe that's true. It might be true what the state is saying. Then, if that's your feeling, you vote not guilty. If you think it's possibly true or probably true, your vote must be not guilty. If someone among you think it's likely true or even very likely to be true, your vote is not guilty, because none of those standards, maybe, might be, possibly, probably, likely, very likely, none of those meet the extraordinary burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, guilt beyond a reasonable doubt has best been explained two ways, in two different ways. One is pretty simple. We've already discussed the first way. It's a doubt for which you can state a reason. That's the simplest. If you can state a reason for your doubt, that is the first definition of reasonable doubt. But that reason has to be based upon common sense and reason, right? We can't say an alien came down, committed this crime, and left evidence of Mr. Faust being there. That's fanciful. That isn't a reasonable doubt. A reasonable doubt is based upon common sense and reason. So don't violate your oath and say, well, hey, I think it's a conspiracy theory. Some other people did it, and they're just snatching up Mr. Faust. Let me make that clear. Some other people that have not been mentioned in this case, some other people in another country, aliens, animals, whatever. That is not a reasonable doubt, because that wouldn't be based upon common sense and reason. But if you could state one reason, a reason to doubt the state's case, your verdict must be not guilty. Now, as a jury, you have rules and principles just like we have them in our homes and in our businesses. We also have them in court. So you find a truthful verdict within the confines of the law that is given to you by the honorable court. So if you want to say the state never presented evidence showing how Mr. Faust's DNA means rape, there's no physical evidence or witnesses connecting Mr. Faust to Miss Baker's home. And also add the fact that Dr. Falzone, who testified here, told us based on the injuries to Miss Baker's anus, she was sexually assaulted anally. Dr. Falzone told us that. And before I follow up with the evidence, I want to mention one thing that is very important. The judge will tell you that you cannot presume that Mr. Faust in any manner acted with criminal intent. The state has to present evidence of that. You can't just say, well, his DNA is present, that's enough for me. It's his DNA. Well, he didn't explain the DNA, so he's guilty. The state has to explain Mr. Faust's DNA. The state charged Mr. Faust with rape. So the state has to show you, how does his DNA mean rape? Otherwise, that presumes criminal intent, and it violates the oath you've taken to follow the law given by the honorable court. The judge will also tell you to convict Mr. Faust. Not only must the facts be consistent with Mr. Faust committing all of the acts in the indictment, but they also must exclude every other reasonable theory other than Mr. Faust's guilt. Chris Melton killing Miss Baker is not only a reasonable theory, it is supported by the evidence. And I'll start with Miss Ashley Hinkle. She was the last witness you heard from. You'll go to the last page on that. And again, no evidence came in about anybody running off, so I don't want you to consider that. You can't consider that. But this is what led us to say our case is where it needs to be. Ms. Hinkle, the states, this wasn't our DNA expert. This isn't somebody we hired. This isn't somebody we paid. This is somebody they brought in to support their case. Ms. Hinkle testified that DNA doesn't last in the anus for 5 days. And you may remember me asking her about the test where they had 5 swabs and they tested the 5 swabs, and all 5 anal swabs came back negative. But at most, as we have, 3 days. And that's best case scenario. One of the generals said 2 days, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll say 3 days. And the state came before you and said, well, it's a drainage theory. It's a drainage theory. You even had Chris Melton, and you have to decide how he knows this. I don't know where he got it from, but I think I know where he got it from, but you have to decide where he got it from. He took the stand under oath and said, well, my DNA was there probably because of drainage. But this is the issue with the state's drainage theory. If we concede, I don't agree with it, but you have to decide what's truthful and what's not truthful. But if we concede that Mr. Melton was with Ms. Baker on Sunday and DNA only lasts 3 days, his DNA would have been gone by Wednesday. So for Ms. Baker to be killed on Friday and Mr. Melton's DNA to show up, it doesn't fit the physical evidence. It doesn't fit the science. And you may have heard the state ask a question, well, does the clock reset? And you heard Ms. Hinkle say, yeah, but it will require penetration. So if it number one, it wouldn't be there, but let's say hypothetically, it requires penetration. Whose DNA profile was the only identifiable DNA profile in Ms. Baker's anus? It was Chris Melton's. So even if you take Mr. Melton's theory, even if you try to give him the benefit of the doubt, it doesn't match the science. And you actually heard Elizabeth Bigham say that. We have to explain your DNA. It doesn't make sense. The issue is Ms. Bigham went to a lab way out in California. You heard the young lady come in, Ms. Lacone. She was very honest. She said, well, I've never been asked to testify about this. This is a presumptive test. Both of these tests are presumptive tests. This is her first time coming into court. Based on what she said, she has not been called in court to testify about this science at no other time. But what Ms. Bigham does, when Mr. Melton wouldn't change his timeline, she changed it for him. And this is the significance of the DNA in the mouth. If you'll go to the paper before. I don't know if I wrote this down, but let's see. This is the significance of the DNA in the mouth. So what Ms. Hinkle told us is that DNA in the mouth at longest lasts 24 hours, at longest. So when Ms. Bigham was meeting with Chris Melton saying, hey, we need to explain this because we need to put it on bad guy. We need to explain it because we need to go after the one we want. She knew when Chris Melton was saying, hey, I didn't see her the day before. Hey, I didn't see her 2 days prior. Hey, I didn't see her that week. That was a problem for their theory. It was a big problem because she wants Mr. Faust, whose DNA was at one time was only in the mouth. But she has a problem because Mr. Melton's DNA is in the mouth at that time and the anus. So she doesn't go to a lab in Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina. We're on the East Coast. And we don't know how many labs she went to. We don't know how many times she tried to get this stuff tested and tried to get the opinion she wanted. Maybe she was expert shopping. That evidence didn't come in. We don't know. But we do know they flew someone all the way from California on taxpayer dollars to testify about these tests where this young lady says it's presumptive. This is a presumptive test. This is the evidence they brought you. And the reason they brought you that evidence is because they had to take Chris Melton out of the mouth. But they forgot about the anus. They forgot about the anus. In fact, the state didn't even ask about the anus. If you notice, when they presented their case, they just said mouth and vagina. Is that searching for the truth? The elected district attorney came up here and said, our job is to find the truth. I've given you good and bad facts on our side. Is that searching for the truth? Where you only ask questions in the same manner that Elizabeth Bigham asked questions, whereas to put everything on Mr. Faust. The science does not support that Mr. Faust killed Ms. Baker. The science, the timeline supports Chris Melton. He's continuously lied. Even Elizabeth Bigham had to admit, yeah, I told him it wasn't consistent with what he said 23 years ago, or for the last 23 years. When have you ever in your life, whether it's on television or any experience you've ever had, known law enforcement to tell someone, look, it's not consistent with what you've been with what you've been telling us, but let me offer a suggestion of what you should say. You've never heard of that. You've never heard of that. If you weren't in this courtroom, you wouldn't believe it. If somebody told you outside that, hey, I heard about this case, you know, the lead detective is telling the individual to lie so they could put it on somebody else, you'll say, no way. This guy's nuts. He doesn't know what he's talking about because it sounds so unbelievable. But what doesn't lie is the science and the physical evidence. You heard their expert, not my expert, their expert talk to you about the timelines. I also want to talk about this, the anus as well. How is it possible that Mr. Faust is charged with aggravated sodomy? He doesn't leave his DNA, but he leaves Chris Melton's DNA. How does that make sense? Mr. Faust is charged with aggravated sodomy for anally sexually assaulting Miss Baker, but somehow, some way, he doesn't leave his DNA. He leaves Chris Melton's DNA. That was supposed to be gone because according to Chris Melton, he hadn't seen her since Sunday. That's the question that you all, as jurors, have to answer. Let's talk about Mr. Melton's actions, okay? Mr. Melton came in here, he testified, you know, we had this relationship, we were close, I loved her, and he even came to you all and started trying to cry. He couldn't get the tears out, but he wanted to get you all emotionally riled up. And I told you all, be careful about the emotions in this case because they do want you to get emotionally riled up. However, when I started questioning, what did he tell us? Yeah, we already went over these questions. Mr. Melton got on the stand, took an oath, gave you a performance, something that he had already started doing with the state before he came in this courtroom.
Hang on a second, Mr. Cruz. Let's wait. Whoever phone that is, that person is going to need to leave the courtroom. Ms. Cruz, just hang on a second, sir, if you would, please.
Does it pause my time?
You have time to stop. Don't worry. Don't worry. I got you. All right. You may continue.
But he gave you a performance. And I'm sure before cross-examination started, you probably said, oh my God, this terrible guy, this poor guy. He's so hurt by this. He's finally had opportunity to tell his story until I had opportunity to start asking him questions. And I appreciate him admitting that he met with the state. I appreciate him admitting that he went through these questions with the state, but you have to judge his credibility on the witness stand. Now let's talk about his actions. We don't even have to talk about his actions in court because this is 25 years later. Let's talk about his actions the weekend of Miss Baker's death. So Friday, he goes to the police department. They didn't tell him to come. He voluntarily goes. The state wants to paint that as, oh, he's such a good guy. We didn't have to call him. He just came up here because he just wanted to be a good person. You lose the love of your life. Whose first thought is to run to the police department in a whole nother city? Not to comfort the family, not to call Mrs. Virginia Baker and say, oh my God, what's going on? His job or his decision is, let me go to the police department. And then Saturday, what did Mr. Bill Teeter tell us? And again, this is evidence. Bill Teeter says he comes to pick up his truck. If I lost somebody when I was dating my wife 2-3 years and something like this happened, this tragic, I'm not thinking about a truck. I'm not going to pick up a car. I could care less about a car. The family wasn't picking up cars, I'm sure. They were trying to put their life back together and figure out what was going on with this shop. But Chris Melton, he's picking up cars. Sunday, well, we don't even have to go to Sunday. Let's go to Monday. Because police tried to emphasize over and over and over and over and over again. He didn't have a lawyer. He didn't have a lawyer. He didn't have a lawyer. What did, I believe her name was Miss Christie. Her old name was Christie Search. I cannot remember her new name. She has a new last name, though. But she worked at the bank. Monday, he's at the bank requesting a loan. That's evidence in this case. Monday, she dies Friday. Monday, he's at the bank requesting a loan. What would you need a loan for on a Monday? Probably legal fees, right? You call a lawyer. Hey, police are questioning me about this death of my girlfriend. What's your fee going to be? I don't know. We don't know what he went to the bank for, but that's something you need to consider. Chris Melton went to the bank on a Monday to get a loan. What does he do within a week of Miss Baker's death? On Thursday, he's at Mrs. Ashley P.V. Hall's house. She testifies to that. On Friday, he goes on 2 dates. Miss Ashley P.B. Hall told us on one of the dates, and she tried to explain it away, well, he's just a flirty guy. He just has a flirty personality. But he's flirting with the girl and he's rubbing her back. The girlfriend just brutally died a week earlier. Chris, and I misstate things. I'm human. I am not perfect. I believe your notes, trust your notes. You're the jury. You decide the facts. I believe Chris even admitted to calling Miss Hufford 10 o'clock.
Sorry, y'all stopped the screen share. Let me get it back up for us. My apology. I was clicking on it to show y'all, and then I exited out, and yeah. And you know the story from there. So let me get it back up for us. Judge sitting up there looking just as mean as ever, as usual. So y'all can just come in, relax. The heart, I guess, you know, the damage has been done now. We do know that they are working on looking into his case. So, I mean, it looks like that part will be happening very fast. Yeah,
Good
dear.
afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for the sentencing portion regarding the state of Georgia versus Edrick Faust, SU 24 CR 0547. The jury having returned a verdict of guilty on all counts in the indictment. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, I want to take care of a few preliminary matters before we get started. The first is that No one in the audience, with the exception of media who have been granted a Rule 22 permission, can have their cell phones out and can have their cell phones out. So the first thing I want everybody to make sure is that if you have a cell phone and you are not the media who has been granted access, to put your cell phone away, please. And also, while you're doing that, to make sure that it is in the off position. I would appreciate everybody's cooperation on that. If there is anybody, of course, and I've mentioned this before during the course of all of our proceedings, if anyone does violate that portion of this court's order, having their cell phone out and certainly even using it, you will be escorted from the courtroom by the deputy and not allowed to return. The second thing I want to remind everyone, as I reminded everyone the other day who was here, is that this is a court of law, and certainly the court expects everyone to act accordingly. There will be no disruptions whatsoever, no outbursts of any kind, no yelling, no screaming, and no disruptions like that. If that does happen, I will stop the proceedings. The Sheriff's Department will escort that person or persons out of the courtroom. Everybody certainly was in full compliance the other day when the verdict was read, when I gave this same instruction. And I certainly appreciate everyone's abiding by that order very much, and I'd ask you certainly to do the same today. Is the state ready to proceed?
State's ready, Judge.
All right, Mr. Cruz, is the defense ready?
I have no other choice, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Faust, I'm going to address you now, sir. I want to tell you that, as you know, you have been convicted of all 12 charges as listed in the indictment by the jury returning the verdict. I want to tell you that you have the right to pursue an appeal. If you cannot afford an attorney, the court will appoint an attorney to represent you for an appeal. I want to make sure you understand that filing an appeal has time limitations. You have 30 days from the date of sentencing, which will be today, to file a notice of appeal. Filing a motion for new trial also falls under that category of 30 days after the conviction sentence is entered. You also have 4 years if you choose to file a habeas corpus petition. If you cannot afford an attorney to represent you, the court will appoint an attorney for you. I certainly know that you will speak with Mr. Cruz today and other days about your rights of appeal, but I wanted to make sure you understood them. Do you have any questions for the court about those things? Thank you, sir. All right, if the state is ready to proceed, you may do so, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, what the state would intend to do as it relates to our presentation of evidence concerned with sentencing is to begin by discussing the ranges and the counts on which Mr. Faust is to be sentenced from the state's understanding. At that point, Your Honor, I would tender in certain certified convictions in aggravation of punishment. Mr. Cruz has been provided copies of those. We would then offer 4 victim impact statements, Judge, from Miss Virginia Baker, Mr. Adam Baker, Miss Meredith Schroeder, and Mr. Kevin Baker. And after the victim impact statements, the state would make its recommendation to the court. As it relates to count 1, malice murder, the sentence is mandated by law as of January 19th of 2001 would be a sentence of life imprisonment. Counts 2 through 5, the felony murder counts, as a matter of law, since Mr. Faust was found guilty of malice murder, would be vacated. Mr. Faust is thereafter still eligible to be sentenced for each of the felonies that underlied those felony murder counts. That would be the burglary, aggravated sodomy, 2 counts, and then the rape. As it relates to the sentencing range for burglary being count 6, that would be up to 20 years. Count 7, the aggravated sodomy as it existed on January 19th of 2001, the state's understanding of that is that that would be a serious violent felony subject to the provisions of 1710 6.1 at the time, which indicates that when an individual is convicted of a serious violent felony, if they are sentenced to anything other than a life sentence, they are not parole eligible for whatever that sentence is that is imposed by the court. And the range on aggravated sodomy at the time was 10 to 30 or life. As it relates to, and that would be the same for count 10, Your Honor. As it relates to count 8, the rape count, that would be 10 to 20 or life. As it relates to count 9, the aggravated assault, that would merge with count 1 for purposes of sentencing. We've already covered the range on count 10. Count 11 would be up to 20 years, and count 12, possession of a knife. I'm sorry, count 11 was the arson in the first degree. Count 12, the possession of knife during commission of a felony, would be 5 years, Your Honor. And Judge, would the court like us to continuing numbering exhibits from the exhibit number in the trial, or to start with 1 for purposes of sentencing?
That's a great question. I think we should continue with the numbers that we've been going on. Do you have the last number that was entered?
I do not.
Okay. Okay. We can do that. Sure. I think that sounds fine. Ms. Satterfield really is in charge of all of those numbers. That's important for her. So we'll start again with 1. She thinks that would be best. So go ahead and label whatever document you have as State's Exhibit 1, and then follow with any other exhibits you have in numerical order.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
And Your Honor, I've labeled for purposes of sentencing States Exhibits 1 through 6. Exhibit 1 is certified conviction from criminal action number 93 OR 36B, which was a sentence entered on an attempted robbery charge with a sentencing date, original sentencing date of June 7th of 1993. This document was for a first offender sentence. It was later adjudicated guilty. In States Exhibit 2 is 96 OR 165J.
Yes.
I would object to the state attempting to use prior convictions and aggravation of sentencing. If my recollection doesn't fail me, we didn't receive notice that the state intended to use Mr. Faust's prior record for sentencing either the last day of trial or the day before the last day of trial. The state provided us with documentation stating that they intended to use Mr. Faust's record of aggravation of sentencing. As the Honorable Court is aware, under OCGA Section 17-16-4, Section A5, the law states that the prosecuting attorney shall no later than 10 days prior to trial or at such time as the court orders, but in no event later than the beginning of the trial, provide the defendant with notice of any evidence in aggravation of punishment that the state intends to introduce in sentencing. And that is a shall statute. The state failed, unless they could show something, because from what they gave me 2 days ago, 2 days before the end of trial or the last day of trial, that was my first time seeing those documents. But the state hasn't met the notice requirement to introduce evidence in aggravation of sentencing under that statute, Your Honor. So I would ask that if the state wants the Honorable Court to proceed with sentencing, that's fine, but I would ask the Honorable Court not to consider the state's evidence in aggravation because they failed to follow the proper procedure for admission of same. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Any response, Mr. Yellenachilli?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't have both of the dates in front of me, but the state provided its first notice of intent to use any convictions contained in Mr. Faust's criminal record in aggravation of punishment as part of its discovery certificate that was filed on, I believe, April 2nd of 2025. Subsequent to that, we provided a more specific notice that listed 3 convictions coming out of Clark County, and then we amended that notice with the second notice of intent to use prior convictions in aggravation for recidivism, which doesn't necessarily apply here for purposes of impeachment as well. But the original notice is from April 2nd of 2025.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I would ask the Honorable Court not to take Mr. Yalamachily's word for it. If the Honorable Court could review the record to make sure that it's accurate. I disagree with that position, but I may be mistaken. I would just ask the Honorable Court to confirm.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cruz. I actually have reviewed the record, and Mr. Yalamachily is correct. So I'm going to overrule your objection. I'm also holding in my hand the state's second notice of intent to use prior convictions in aggravation of sentencing, and that was filed on October the 2nd. So I have one of them actually in my hand, but I have reviewed the record, and Mr. Yalamachily is correct, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You may proceed.
And Judge, so State's Exhibit 1 was a conviction for attempted robbery, Your Honor, with the date that I noted. State's Exhibit 2 is a certified conviction regarding possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and other offenses from 96 OR 165J, again, out of the Superior Court of Oglethorpe County. Then we come to the 4 Clark County convictions that the state intends to admit for aggravation. State's Exhibit 3 is SU01CR0298. This was an aggravated assault committed on February 4th of 2001 involving cutting or another individual in the neck area. And the sentence date on that particular offense, I believe, was September 6th of 2001. Obviously, the offense date is within a couple of weeks of this murder. And then State's Exhibit 4 is SU11CR0744. This is a certified conviction, again, for Mr. Faust for a felony. And it is a conviction for possession of cocaine as well as driving while license suspended and misdemeanor obstruction of a law enforcement officer. State's Exhibit 5 is another certified conviction. This is SU13CR0203 out of the Superior Court of Clark County. And this is a conviction for possession of cocaine with intent to distribute, as well as misdemeanor obstruction of a law enforcement officer. And Your Honor, the sentence date on this particular case is November 6th of 2013. And then State's Exhibit 6 is SU14CR0774. And it's for a felony driving while license suspended, Your Honor. The conviction date of this case will be November 26th of 2014.
Yes, sir.
I just pulled up the notice that the Honorable Court mentioned from October. It only mentions 3 offenses. That's the aggravated assault. That's the VGCSA, 2 counts. I don't just wanted to let the Honorable Court know.
That was the only one I had in my hand, but I have reviewed the record.
I just want to make sure.
There's an amended notice as well, Mr. Cruz, but the one that I was referring to is the one I have in my hand.
Correct. The amended notice, I only received that 2 days before the end of trial, Your Honor. So we're asking that those convictions not be considered. The 3 that's in the notice filed in October, obviously that meets the statutory timelines. The ones that they gave me 2 days before the verdict came down, that does not meet the statutory timeline, Your Honor. So I'd ask the Honorable Court to reconsider its rule.
Thank you, sir. Any response to the objection again, Mr. Yalamachily?
Well, again, Your Honor, if we go back to, and I believe it's April 2nd of 2025, but the court has the record in front of it. As part of the state's discovery certificate, we provided notice of both impeachment, aggravation, and I believe also recidivism for any convictions that were contained in Mr. Faust's criminal history. There's no, to my knowledge, no subsequent requirement of the state to make a more specific notice, but we chose to do so.
Yes, sir.
The law requires a specific notice. So there is a requirement for that, Your Honor.
I'm not sure that's correct, Mr. Cruz, and I'm going to overrule your objection and allow the state to continue.
All right. And so, Your Honor, if I could approach, I have states
You may.
1 through 6.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask the court to hear victim impact statements, beginning first with Miss Virginia Baker.
James, I have the appeal fund is at the top, pinned to the top if you want to look at it.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
I am Tara's mother. I will always be Tara's mother. And I'm afraid my emotions are about worn out after these 25 years of pain. And so if it is okay, I have asked my son-in-law to read my statement for me, if that would be all right.
Yes, ma'am. That is certainly all right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor, members of the court. There are no words to fully express the horror of what this monster did to my daughter, Tara. For weeks, I have sat in this courtroom, forced to look at evil, to hear details I never wanted to know. I have endured it only for her sake. January 19, 2001 was the collision of pure good and incomprehensible evil. Over these 25 years, the truth has emerged slowly, each new piece more terrible than the last. The question that never leaves me is why? I have asked God this question thousands of times. I still have no complete answer, and the pain remains. As a mother, I cannot bear the image of Tara dying alone, frightened, calling for help that never came. Night after night, I dream of carrying her burned and broken body, walking endless roads, trying desperately to find someone who could help, someone who could bring her back. I have begged God to trade my life for hers. She is gone. The emptiness she left is vast and unending. Tara was intelligent, kind, dutiful, and loving. She worked hard toward her dream of becoming a lawyer so she could help others. Yet she never lost her generosity or her caring nature. Her life was full of promise and light. The person who took her lived in complete opposition to everything she stood for. His actions were selfish, depraved, without compassion or regard for the lives he destroyed. He did not only end her life and her dreams, he tried to erase her completely by setting the fire. Our family had never known violent crime before that day. Her absence still wounds her siblings, her friends, and all who loved her. The pain is constant, even in moments that should be joyful. I will never forget sitting beside her closed casket, praying it was all a mistake, that we would open it and find it empty. Though I begged to open the casket to see my sweet girl one last time, my husband and the funeral director protected me from seeing the devastation that Edrick Faust had caused. The impossible hope that somehow she was not in that casket was the last thread I clung to before accepting she was truly gone. After 25 years of living in the shadow of this loss, praying, waiting, and enduring, the final chapter has been written today. As the district attorney reminded us, it was the jury's solemn duty to hold the pen and write the correct ending to this tragic story. They have done so, bringing accountability at last and allowing light to pierce the darkness that has shadowed our family for so long. Tara's beautiful soul is now safe with our Lord. Her short life was filled with love, and that love endures in every heart she touched. I thank God for the grace that has carried me this far. I thank him for my remaining children, Tara's siblings, and I thank him for my grandchildren. We all thank him for the legacy of light that Tara left behind. Tara was and always will be deeply loved. Such a beautiful life, so full of promise. Thank you for your time, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Cruz, anything from the defense with regard to this victim witness?
No, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Yalamichili, you may call your next witness.
Your Honor, the state would call Adam Baker.
On January 19th, 2001, my beloved sister, Tara Baker, was stabbed, beaten, strangled, raped, and finally set on fire. That horrific act was not where the tragedy ended. That is where it began. Tara was an extraordinary human being, beautiful, compassionate, driven, and hilariously funny. She was the best of us. I have never known anyone with a purer heart. Tara and I were more than siblings. We were best friends. From the day I was born until the day Edrick Faust ripped her from us, we were inseparable. She cheered me on at every step. My decision to join the Air Force, my dreams of flying, it was her dream for me to become a pilot. I remember how she beamed with pride after I joined the Air Force. I remember coming home on leave and her giving me the biggest hug. We talked so much about my training and what things were like. I also remember the moment she saw my dog tags and truly understood what they meant. She grew quiet. She cried. It was the first time she ever considered that my life could be cut short. Neither of us ever imagined it could have been the other way around. Being far from home meant I was alone when I learned of her death. My father was desperately trying to contact a military chaplain to sit with me when the news came, but I called him first. The cries of anguish I made during that call haunted him until the day he died. I still have nightmares in which our roles are reversed and I am the one making that call, hearing the pain, unable to hug my son or comfort him. I remember the fog of arranging a flight back to Georgia, the long journey home, watching people board planes and go about their day oblivious. The flight attendants offered pretzels or cookies. All I could think was, I want my sister back. The entire flight, I dreaded one moment above all, seeing my mother. When I finally reached my parents' house and I saw her face, the anguish there was something no one should ever have to witness on their own mother. In hysterical grief, she held me for what felt like days, weeping and wailing. That evening, through her tears, she begged me to achieve my dreams because Tara could no longer achieve hers. Our focus is only Tara could have inspired me to do. I made every rank as early as military regulations allowed. Eventually, I was accepted to officer training school. My family attended my graduation. Tara was not there. I went on to flight school and earned my wings. At graduation, my family proudly pinned those wings on my chest, but Tara was not there. I met an amazing woman whom Tara would have adored. We married. At the wedding, we took family photos of the whole Baker family. Tara was not in them. Every Christmas, every family gathering, every milestone, Tara was absent. She never got to be a sister to my wife. She never held my infant daughter, beaming with pride as an aunt. She never cradled my twins when they were born. My oldest child has had to learn of her Aunt Tara through photographs and stories. She favors her. I mourn not only Tara, but everything that was stolen from us. Tara would have turned 49 last month. I have no doubt she would have pursued her dreams, achieved her goals. She would have married and had children. My beautiful nieces and nephews that I never got to meet. My mother's precious grandbabies who now would be old enough to chase their own dreams and start their own families. An entire branch of our family tree was severed irreparably on that one day to satisfy one man's depravity. The last 25 years should have been full of life, laughter, and generations. But the pain doesn't end here today. Despite this verdict, the pain will continue. This summer, I will retire from the career that Tara inspired me to pursue. My family will fly out. We will celebrate. There will be pictures. Tara won't be in them. She won't be there. Tara's children won't be there. Tara's grandchildren won't be there. In fact, our dad, who died at the age of 59, due to the stress and grief of losing a child, will not be there. And he is but one of a list of family members who I am certain would still be alive today had it not been for the stress, grief, depression, and utter devastation caused 25 years ago. For many years, I wrestled with God over what happened. That struggle eventually and ultimately led me to a place of forgiveness. Long before I ever heard the name Edrick Faust, I chose to forgive him. Today, sitting in this courtroom face to face, I can honestly say, I have forgiven you. I harbor no hate in my heart. I've given that all to God. You will stand before him one day. I pray that before then, you will confess, you will repent, and you will seek for the forgiveness of Christ. He will grant it. Until then, I need nothing from you except this one thing, that you never hurt anyone else again. Your Honor, I leave that responsibility to the judicial system. Please ensure that Mr. Faust never has the opportunity to harm another person. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Cruz, anything from the defense?
In regards to this witness, no, ma'am.
All right. You may call your next witness, Mr. Yellow-Manchili.
Meredith Schroeder, Your Honor.
Maybe a Chris to speak.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
During these last few weeks, we, Tara's family and friends, and all who loved her, were forced to relive this nightmare, to face the darkest time of our lives once more, to face things that we have avoided for 25 years. We sat and watched in horror the sight of her lifeless body, discarded like trash amongst the debris. We sat here in this courthouse and watched Tara be victimized once more. Watched social media legal pundits co-opt our family photos as their own and opine on who they thought Tara was. I've watched as people came to spectate, like a morbid kid poking at her and us like dead animals on the side of the road. For all those interested parties, I will tell you who Tara was. She was our North Star, our champion. She was kind. She was determined. She wasn't perfect, but she was close to it. She spent her short life lifting people up and wanted to dedicate her life to making people happy. Happy law was her dream, and she had carved out her path to achieve it, and no one hated her. On January 19th, 2001, Tara woke and began her day like any other. While that day will remain the darkest of our lives, it was nothing compared to what Tara endured. I cannot imagine the fear and anger she felt, how she fought, telling herself this was not happening. While Tara was our everything, it wasn't enough for Faust. For the last 25 years, he has wreaked havoc on this community. Just 2 weeks after he ended Tara's life, he put a knife into a man's neck. He shattered another man's jaw over a parking space outside the 40 Watt. He savagely beat his wife on a cruise and then later pistol whipped her with her own gun. While we have sat here trying to maintain our composure, I've watched the defendant sleep through proceedings. I'm terribly sorry to have inconvenienced him, but you see, while he got to walk free for the last 25 years, he dealt Tara and all of us a life sentence. He stole from her, he stole from me, he stole from my children, and he stole from all of us. None of us are the same people who woke up on January 19th, 2001. Every day for the last 25 years, I have literally thought about my sister. I've wondered if her wild and tacky sister would have made her proud. I've mourned the friendship that we were building outside of sister. I've mourned the tone-deaf car karaoke sessions and the Friday night rom-coms. I've mourned the life lessons that she tried to teach me, but my dumb teenage brain couldn't understand. The guilt that I feel that I've lived an entire life that was denied her cannot be measured. I have prayed that I've been strong enough for her, that I've fought enough for her. I've prayed these last few weeks that I've done right by her. Today I stand here channeling her strength to face the man convicted by a jury of his peers to this nightmare, to let him know that after today, I will endeavor to forget his face and his name, to never allow him to cross my thoughts again. After today, I will live my life remembering how Tara lived. My final request is that this honorable court ensure that he is put somewhere where he finally ends his reign of mayhem. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from the defense, Mr. Cruz?
Only to make two corrections, Your Honor. In regards to pistol whipping his wife, that is nothing that occurred or was evidence in this case.
I'll let you say that when it's your turn, but in terms of any questions you have for the
No,
witness.
absolutely
All right.
not.
Thank you, sir. You may call your next witness.
Kevin Baker.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
Of course, indulgence as I get my paperwork here. It's maybe one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. Your Honor, my name is Kevin Baker. I'm Tara's youngest brother, who she affectionately called her baby darling. There's a 12-year age gap between the two of us, so I wouldn't see her as much as a big sister as I would see her as a motherly figure. Over the past several days, I have sat in this room and listened to people argue over semantics while thinking that my Tara, beloved sister, cuddle buddy and protector is gone. We're arguing over a Super Bowl and a World Series. Well, I can't tell you who won that game, but I can tell you every detail that happened that day. My earliest memories of Tara and I were singing Beatles songs and Elvis songs and having a dance party in the living room. We watched old movies like Wizard of Oz and the Braves game on TV as we would cheer on her boys to victory. I even told her as a young boy I was going to play baseball and I was going to be just like Chipper Jones, who she adored so much. She would sit there as I would tell her that, and she would smile and say, "You could do whatever you wanted to do as long as you put enough effort into it." To help me sleep, she would tell me Bible stories and hold me close when I was scared of the dark or when things would go bump in the night. Everywhere Tara lived, she invited me to stay at her house. From her dorm at Georgia College to the 80 Pie house, I was always welcome, where most college girls would think having a 9 or 10-year-old little brother following them around a college campus would be annoying and maybe even a bit embarrassing. But she saw it as an opportunity to connect and show me how doing well in school can benefit you. I remember the last time I saw her. It was towards the end of Christmas holiday. Adam was home, and she thought how great it would be to have a siblings' day out. She took us out, myself, Adam, and Meredith, to Chick-fil-A for lunch. We laughed, we carried on, and had a great time as a family. It was probably my last true happy memory as a child. She said goodbye to me in the driveway. She bent down on one knee and gave me the warmest hug and a white turtleneck sweater and a brown leather jacket and a kiss on the cheek. She told me to do my best in school as a new school year would be starting. In a few weeks, she would be back to visit with just me. She planned to come home and visit with me and go to my baseball game. I started that next school year with just the focus on school and sports. Then came Friday, January 19th, 2001. I was taken out of school, oblivious to what was happening at the time. My parents were in a panic and dropped me off at my grandparents, who would soon drive me up to Athens. But before we made our way to Athens, I asked my grandparents if it would be okay to get something to give to Tara as a gift. My grandparents, already knowing what was happening in the situation, couldn't bear to be the ones to give me the news. So they took me to a Hobby Lobby. I got a dolphin figurine and I made it for her, not knowing that she would never receive it. I arrived at the Holiday Inn right down the road from here. As a child of only 11, I was given the news by my late father that there was a fire at Tara's house. My immediate response was, "Is she in the hospital? Tell me she's okay." My dad stood there, choking back tears, saying, "No, buddy, she didn't make it. She's gone." At that moment, my childhood innocence was destroyed. It would be shadowed by grief and running around this college campus with flyers asking who killed my sister. asking questions, not knowing anything other than she was gone, learning words that no elementary school kid should ever have to learn or know happened to his big sister. Words such as rape, stabbing, arson, and murder. Kids at school would say, "We're sorry for your loss." I was only thinking to myself, I didn't lose her. She was stolen from me. Where most kids would come home to a warm house full of happiness, I came home to a house, despite my parents' best efforts to create the best environment possible, it felt more like a mausoleum than a warm home. Unlike my siblings, I went through the majority of my life from childhood, teenage, and adult phases without Tara. Unable to ask her, am I doing okay? Is this what I should be doing in school or in life? Would you be proud of the man your baby brother has become? I strived to be just like her throughout my childhood. When I received awards, graduated high school, and graduated college, Tara was not there. When my father died, which this murder took years off of his life due to stress, instead of Tara holding me while giving me the news of my father's passing, I fell to my knees in a hospital parking lot at midnight alone to collect myself and be strong for my mother, who was already in the ER room waiting for me to arrive. I found love and married, and instead of a family being in the front row, I had 2 empty chairs with 2 white roses for both my father and Tara, who would have been there if the situations had been different. As this trial goes on, I have read and seen the absolute best and the absolute worst of people in both this courtroom and outside who seek to turn a sensitive matter into a circus of calamity and pandemonium for their own entertainment, for likes on their social media pages, all the while seeing how this trial has opened up old wounds and exposed horrible memories. I have heard how this man is sitting here fighting for his life. Well, it makes me think about something about that morning. Did Tara have a chance to fight for her life? Who was there at the moment when she needed someone the most? No one, because she was scared and she died alone. Your Honor, I've listened to details for the first time that I've never been told about this case, not because the case was not thoroughly investigated, but because of the horrific and gruesome facts that my family tried to shield from me due to the age at the time. Your Honor, when that verdict was read, the person that's sitting here in that pew that day is not the 36-year-old man that stands before you right now. It was that 11-year-old boy who brought back all that pain and loneliness of being in that hotel room, knowing that his sister had just been killed. As a father of a young girl, I dread for the day that I will have to give the tale to my daughter of her Aunt Tara, not for being the loving aunt who would have loved her so much or strived for greatness, but as a cautionary story of safety, because someone thought that they could play God and decide who should live and who doesn't. I've taken my grief and I've used it as a career to help others during their time of loss and guide them through their grieving process. It gives me peace to know that none of these families that I will undoubtedly have to help in the future will not be caused by this man's reign of terror in this community. I pray that there will not be another family in this community that will have to deal with the same pain and sorrow and cruelty that we have had to deal with over these past 25 years. This is not the final chapter of Tara's story, because once this case is concluded and her story will live on in everyone who ever knew her and everyone who ever loved her, despite this man's best efforts to destroy her legacy and destroy her body, she will endure in our hearts forever. For those who are in this courtroom or maybe watching at home, I ask you this: will you remember her? Because she would remember you. Thank you, Your Honor, for your time.
Thank you. Anything from the defense, Mr. Cruz, of this witness?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You may call your next witness.
Your Honor, we don't have any other witnesses. We're ready to make our recommendation at this time.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I cannot offer anything more important or more impactful than what Tara's family has already said, and I will not try. The court has heard the evidence in this case and all its brutality and depravity. It's horrific, even in the context of other murder cases. The state's recommendation in this case is as follows. On count 1, a sentence of life imprisonment. On counts 2 through 5, vacated. Count 7 would be 30 years confinement concurrent with count 1. Count 8 would be life consecutive to count 1. Count 9 would merge with count 1. Count 10 would be 30 years consecutive to counts 1 and 7 while being concurrent with count 8. Count 6 would be 20 years consecutive to counts 8 and 10. Count 11 would be 20 years consecutive to count 6. And count 12 would be 5 years consecutive to count 11. The total sentence would be 2 consecutive life sentences plus 45 years of confinement with 60 years of non-parolable concurrent confinement with those 2 life sentences. That's the state's recommendation, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Yeoman, you went through that very quickly, so I'm actually going to ask you to go through it slowly so I take down what you say, and I will do the same, of course, for Mr. Cruz. If you'll do it a little bit slower for the court, I want to make sure I know what you are asking for, and then I'll do the same for Mr. Cruz.
Yes,
Let's
Judge.
start with count 1.
I will. And just for an overall, again, in total, we're getting to 2 consecutive life sentences plus 45 years of confinement with 60 years of non-parolable confinement concurrent with those 2 life sentences. And the way that we structured that was in count 1, life. Counts 2 through 5, vacated. Count 7, 30 years concurrent with count 1. Count 8 is life consecutive to count 1. Count 9, the aggravated assault, merges with count 1. Count 10 would be 30 years consecutive to counts 1 and 7 and concurrent with count 8. Count 6 would be 20 years consecutive to counts 8 and 10. Count 11 would be 20 years consecutive to count 6. And count 12 would be 5 years consecutive to count 11.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cruz.
Would you like us to start with mitigation before we get into sentencing?
Yes, certainly you can. If you are presenting witnesses, this would be the time to do so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I had a lot of inquiries, if I may. If you're here to testify on Mr. Faust's behalf, can you raise your hand for me? Have you all come up to the front real quick?
Mr. Terrell, can you help with the podium here? And then maybe we'll put a microphone, put it in between the tables. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Your Honor, the first witness that we have is Miss Kinsey Faust.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good afternoon.
My name is Edrick Faust, and I'm speaking on behalf of my cousin, brother, Edrick Faust. And the picture that being painted as a monster, he's no monster. He's a human being. He has family that loves him and care for him. With all this I want justice to be served, and justice to be served the correct and right way. And all has been said and presented throughout the court system. I've been here day one, ever since Mr. Faust got arrested back in 2023, whenever it was. Like I say to this day, I want the Baker family to get justice. And I feel that justice was not served. And I feel that they're painting a picture of Mr. Faust like he's a monster. He's no monster. He has family, grandkids, kids, and all. And he has lost people also. My father, which is his uncle, which helped raise him. And I know my father raised me, and my father did not raise no animal, nor monster. And I ask you, Lisa, today, as you get ready to sentence Mr. Faust, to really look at the justice and the way things should be laid out. Because Mr. Faust, my cousin, I love him. My brother, we raised in the same house, like I keep saying. He's no monster. He's a human being. And things that happen to Tara, I'm a female too. And I hate all of that. But I would like for justice to be served, and to be served the correct and right way.
Thank you. Ms. Gialmachilli, anything from the state?
I don't have any questions, Your Honor.
You may call your next witness.
Your Honor, next we have Mr. Bryson Shields.
How you doing, Miss Lisa Lott?
Good afternoon.
You know, E, I used to walk car with him.
You'll pull that microphone
I'm
out.
sorry. I used to walk cars with E. And like in last witness, he's not no monster, man. And I'm sorry for what happened. But justice wasn't served here. So that's all.
Thank you. Ms. Gialmachilli, anything from the state?
No, Your Honor.
You may call your next witness, Mr. Cruz.
And I'd like to make a statement for on behalf of Mr. Faust. And I know it's unique for the attorney to do so.
Go ahead, sir.
But Your Honor, you're aware that obviously our system is a system of laws. And once the jury renders a verdict, regardless if we agree with it or disagree with it, that's the law we follow. That's the procedure we follow. I would ask the Honorable Court to consider in its sentencing, and we know what the mandatory sentencing is in this case, but we would ask the Honorable Court to consider things that took place in this case. As the Honorable Court is aware, and obviously we don't relitigate issues, Mr. Faust didn't have opportunity to explain his DNA. Mr. Faust didn't have opportunity to argue consent. There were things, and throughout this trial, I spoke the truth this entire trial. Not one time did a dishonest statement come out of my mouth. But as I advised the Honorable Court, I've reviewed every piece of discovery in this case. And this case is a true tragedy. The very first time I stepped in this courtroom, Your Honor, I said in order to get justice for my client, I would have to get it for the Baker family. And obviously I failed at that. The jury decided otherwise. But Your Honor, I presented the evidence that I could present to the Honorable Court, to the jury as well. I am aware of the mandatory sentencing schemes, but I do know the Honorable Court at the end of this and upon sentencing typically gives its own proffer or statement to the defendant in regards to the Honorable Court's thoughts and the reason it's given the sentence that it is giving. I would ask the Honorable Court if it would consider this is a case of very unique circumstances. And obviously, the evidence that we presented, again, the jury, as the finder of fact, found that our theory was not the truth. But I would just ask the Honorable Court when it renders its sentence to give the lesser on the lesser end, even though it's mandatory, but also in regards to the Honorable Court's statements to the defendant or Mr. Faust, which will come. I just asked the honorable court to keep everything in mind because your honor is aware of a lot more than I was able to present to the jury. And that's all I'd like to say to the honorable court. To the Baker family, this is a heartbreaking case. And as an advocate in this case, no one, the state and I would disagree completely, but no one would ever say that this wasn't a tragedy. And I give my heartfelt, and I mean my heartfelt from the bottom of my heart, my heart goes out to you all and what you've been through. But Your Honor, I just ask you to consider that when it comes to your statement to Mr. Faust at the time of sentencing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Do you have any specifics with regard to counts 1 through 12 you'd like for the court to consider?
I do. My other two witnesses just arrived, Your Honor.
All right, you may present your witnesses, sir.
Hey, my name is Katrina Faust.
Good afternoon.
Edrick Faust isn't a monster. He is a very lovely, funny, and hardworking person. Edrick will always be my cousin, my brother, and I ask God to protect him. I pray to God to give him strength every day and to keep his mind together. And his family will keep fighting for justice for him. Edrick Faust isn't the killer. He was accused as the killer, but he isn't the killer. And he also have a family that love him. And we're going to keep fighting for justice for him as long as it takes. And I'm sorry for the Baker family. And I'm sorry for my family had to keep grieving over this. Because it's been very hard for the Faust family too.
Thank you. Anything from the state, Mr. Yelmichili?
No, Your Honor.
You may call your next witness.
Hey, Judge. What's up, girl? I can't.
My name is Shonda Smith, and I would like to speak in reference to my cousin. I'm his first cousin, Edrick Faust, and I would like to say, Your Honor, my name is Shonda Smith. I stand before you today on behalf of my cousin, Edrick Faust. This is an incredible, difficult moment for our family. We are watching someone we love face sentences while firmly believing in our hearts that he is an innocent man and he has been wrongly convicted. Edrick is more than what has been presented in this courtroom. He is a son, a father, a cousin, a brother, a man of faith who has always been a source of support in our family. This man, he knows he's kind, he's compassionate, and he's deeply valued by those who truly know him. As a family rooted as our family rooted in faith, we believe in justice, but we also believe in mercy, grace, compassion, and the truth. God sees what we cannot see. God knows what we do not know. We humbly ask, as you determine the sentence, we consider his character, his strong support system that stands behind him. And I hope that this still remains in his future. If you could see his future as a loving, bright, intelligent man. Thank you for allowing me to speak. As I do love my cousin, I hope the Baker family finds justice because this is not it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from the state, Mr. Yelmichili?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Cruz, any other witnesses?
No, ma'am. Just discussion regarding sin.
All right.
One more, Your Honor.
Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Tijuana DeBose.
Good afternoon.
I stand here today heartbroken, not just for Edrick, but for the Baker family. I have witnessed this for the last couple of years, and it's very heartbreaking. I'm sorry what has happened, but I just ask that you guys just look at my cousin as not being a murderer, because he's not. I understand that something did happen, but he wasn't the one that did it. I understand the Baker family would like to have peace and justice for what has happened to their daughter, but at the same time, you have the wrong guy. If I wasn't here myself, if someone told me what happened, I would say this is not true. But I witnessed everything, and the things that I witnessed, I can say everything was wrong. Everything was done wrong here. I understand people had a job to do and they want to protect themselves and their job and their family. But at the same time, it's two families that did not get justice. Edrick Faust family did not get justice, and the Baker family still don't have justice. So I just ask that God continue to step in, to guide us and lead us and direct us to the right person that did do this. But as you guys do what you have to do, you have the wrong guy. And I stand here today and I firmly agree on what I say. I'm the first cousin of Edrick Faust. We grew up together. I knew him. I'm 48 years old. We're just a couple of years of difference. But I've been here and I know the things that Edrick done. Our grandmother has been in our lives, and Edrick is a good person, but I'm not going to say everything he has done in his life has been good, because everything I've done has not been good. But at the same time, I don't feel like you should get punished for something that you didn't do. So I just ask you guys to just do what you have to do, but at the same time, know that God has the last word. I love you.
Thank you. Anything, Mr. Yelmichilli from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr. Cruz, in terms of witnesses?
No, ma'am.
All right. And anything else you'd like to tell the court with regard to counts 1 through 12, just
Yes,
as the
ma'am.
state did? Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Your Honor, I ask the honorable court to exercise its discretion. I understand in count 1, malice murder, the jury found Mr. Faust guilty of malice murder, and the honorable court, the only option the honorable court has is life with or life without parole. We would ask the honorable court to, in regards to count 1, for the lesser sentence, which is life, the lesser sentence, which is life with parole, in regards to count 1. Counts 2 through 5, those vacate as a matter of law. Count 6, our request is a 1-year sentence on the burglary, Your Honor. And as the honorable court is aware, and I stated before, our system is a system of laws, and we have to respect the jury's verdict. The reason I'm asking for 1 year on the burglary count, Your Honor, is based on evidence that the honorable court heard, which is the state providing to the jury that they couldn't show that Mr. Faust or how Mr. Faust got into the home. The honorable court could weigh the evidence in regards to the burglary charge. The honorable court is aware, and the honorable court can make a decision as to whether or not the evidence was overwhelming that Mr. Faust broke into Ms. Baker's home. So that's why we're asking for 1 year on the burglary count to be served concurrent. That's count 6. Count 7, in regards to aggravated sodomy, and that was the oral sodomy. The honorable court's discretion is only from 25 years to life. If the honorable court issues a sentence of 25 years, I believe the statute requires that the remaining portion, if I'm not mistaken, is remainder of probation for life, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm asking the honorable court in regards to the aggravated sodomy oral for the lesser sentence, in regards to the court's discretion, which is 25 years, I would ask that that sentence is concurrent to count 1. And if I didn't state it with count 6, I'm also asking the 1 year is concurrent to count 1. In regards to count 8, Your Honor, I believe count 8 and count 10 merge based on the language of the indictment. The language of the indictment provides that the basis for the rape in court's indulgence the indictment specifically alleges that Mr. Faust had carnal knowledge of Ms. Baker. However, when it comes to aggravated sodomy, which is count 10, which is the anal charge of aggravated sodomy, carnal knowledge includes anal sex, his sexual organ entering Ms. Baker's sexual organ. So we would say that count 8 and count 10 merges. In regards to count 10 merging into count 8, Your Honor, the honorable court's discretion is only 25 years to life, similar to count 7. We would ask the honorable court to exercise its discretion and sentence on the lower end, the 25 years with probation for life. We would ask that that is concurrent to count 1. In regards to count 9, aggravated assault, the honorable court is aware that the sentencing range is 1 year to 20 years. We would again ask for the lower end of that range, which is the No, please forgive me. Aggravated assault merges into count 1 by law. So please forgive me. Count 9 merges into count 1 by law. As I mentioned in count 10 merges into count 8. Count 11, arson, 1 through 20 years. We're asking that the honorable court exercise its discretion and sentence Mr. Faust to 1 year concurrent with count 1. And in regards to count 12, I believe the statute does not give the honorable court discretion in regards to the sentence being consecutive. And I believe it's a 5-year consecutive sentence to count 1. So the total sentence that we're asking for is life with parole plus 5 years, which is the mandatory minimum that the honorable court could sentence Mr. Faust to. As a significant piece of the mitigation, as I mentioned, Your Honor, is that I hope the honorable court takes into account the evidence that came out in this case. I do believe when Mr. Faust was initially arrested, it caused an uproar in Athens because a lot of people assumed that, hey, we've got the right person. It's just based on this new technology that the GBI had. But once we came into the courtroom, Your Honor, the jury, the honorable court, and we respect the jury's verdict. I'm not relitigating that, but the honorable court, in regards to mitigation, heard significant evidence that was never stated before in regards to Mr. Melton's involvement in this case, in this crime, which was rejected by the jury, which I acknowledge. But the honorable court is also aware of the rulings that were adverse to the defense, and I'm sure the honorable court says, hey, it was 412, it was 412, it was 412. I respect the court's ruling. I disagreed on the record. But Your Honor, you could take everything that came into this case, all the information that came out in this courtroom, and you can make two choices. You can either say, hey, there were some questions in this case. By law, I'm required to sentence this way. I am going to use my discretion and sentence him to the lower end. It's still a life sentence, Your Honor. Or the honorable court could say, hey, I heard the information that came out in this case. I reject all of it, and I'm going to sentence him to what the state requested, which is the maximum sentence on everything. I am not from Athens. However, this case has caused a divide in Athens. Just like I witnessed, the honorable court had the opportunity to witness, this courtroom was split down, and I hate to even discuss it because it's a difficult topic to discuss, but the courtroom was split pretty much down racial lines. The honorable court made concerns and, had concerns and discussed social media with both counsel. I didn't look at social media until after a verdict was rendered in Mr. Faust's case. And the damage that this case has caused in the Athens community is mind-blowing. There's some people extremely upset. There's also some citizens that are extremely relieved. But Your Honor, in your position, you have the power to send a message, whether that's I'm going to give Mr. Faust the absolute worst sentence he could get, or I'm going to take into account everything that came out in this trial, and I'm going to sentence him within the guidelines as required by law, but I am going to sentence him to the minimums, and that's what we would ask, Your Honor, and I thank you so much for your patience.
Thank you. Mr. Lamicheli, do you care to respond to the argument by counsel about merger of count 8 and count 10?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, count 8 and count 10 do not merge. The carnal knowledge is defined in the rape statute as penetration of the vagina by the penis, and it doesn't merge with aggravated sodomy. I know, I don't think any of the ranges that Mr. Cruz gave were based on statutes as they existed in 2001. I think he's going off the statutes as they exist currently. I think it's incumbent upon the state in our role in the process to point out that given that it's a murder from 2001 and no notice of intent to seek death was filed, it's not a death penalty case. Mr. Faust can't be sentenced to life without parole. I believe the maximum is life because the statute was changed subsequent to when the crime was committed in 2001. So I do want to point that out. Also, as far as the 25 to life range, again, by our review of the statutes, that's not correct. On the rape, I believe it's 10 to 20 or life. And on the sodomy, I believe it is 10 to 30 or life. So I do just want to clear up those factors. I think that's a misstatement of the law. And I'm not going to respond to some of the other things that Mr. Cruz said. Obviously, the court knows what it ruled and didn't rule, but I don't think those are accurate statements of the way the proceedings were conducted.
Thank you. Anything further, Mr. Cruz, about the issue of merger?
Sure. If I could have a second to look at the statement, the law, and it should take maybe a minute, 2 minutes at most to look at the law in regards to what statute applies at the time of sentencing or the time of. Thank you.
I don't think nothing that he said helped him. She gotta, I mean, because she gotta look at the family. They are gonna stand by what the jury said. She is not gonna take anything that he said into consideration. And it's probably pissed. I think he probably pissing her off more. That's just my opinion. But I think she probably really mad now. You know, oh, all right. So you trying to tell me that some of this stuff wasn't included in it, and this didn't happen like this, and I wasn't taking things into consideration, and you are suggesting that I know more than what the jury know, and it was my rulings and stuff. Yeah, I think that she about to, I don't know if he gonna say anything. I mean, he doesn't have to say anything. If he gonna say anything, get up there and say, Chris did it. Chris did it. Y'all got the wrong person. I don't know. But yeah, I know why Mr. Cruz did it, because he wants to bring it to her attention, but she don't give a fuck. Sorry, Mr. Cruz. She don't give a fuck. She don't care about none of that shit you talking. None of it. None of that shit you talking. You can look up what you want to look up, do what you want to do. you ain't getting nothing.
The state is correct. The statute at the time of sentencing. If I could have a second, Your Honor, to look at these statutes. I looked at the current law and applying the sentencing ranges. The Honorable Court would allow me to look at the statutes at the time of in 2001, if that's okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cruz. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to adjourn. I'm going to consider both parties' arguments to the court. That'll give you time, Mr. Cruz, to look at the statutes. I'll be back on the bench shortly. I do want everyone in the courtroom to know that the Sheriff's Department is in charge of the courtroom. And if they ask you to remain seated while they allow other persons to enter or exit, they are allowed to do that. I'd certainly ask for your cooperation. They are in charge, again, of the courtroom. I'm going to be adjourned for just a little while. I'll be back on the bench. And Mr. Cruz, if you have anything else you'd like to add with regard to looking at the statutes at that time, you may do so.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Oh yeah, she flowing on cloud nine. Like, she seemed like she real nice today because she knows she about to sentence him. I don't even know why she going to the bag. I don't know what we doing here. It ain't gonna be no wow. Oh, she going back there to make her damn grocery list. I don't have time for this. Like, don't be playing these games with me, woman. Baby, kill it. Be like, she know her mind made up. What she about to go back there and do? I mean, I could do your Walmart order. Like, if she need a Walmart order dinner, I mean, hey, I'm game. I just don't think she back there about to do what y'all think she about to do. She about to go back there and do nothing. She about to go back there and make her grocery list. Yeah, did all his family that got up there, they ain't even addressing her as judge. They just said Lisa. Yeah, I don't know what the attorneys tell their people to do. Maybe, you know, because they are supposed to be stone-faced, not supposed to say nothing, not supposed to have no emotion. I'm not sure what they told him he could do. So that would be my only thing about that. So maybe they told him that he couldn't do nothing. He couldn't say nothing. I'm surprised because they usually ask them if they want to say something. I guess maybe they're gonna have security or something. I don't know. Do they think a fight gonna break out? I doubt it if they want to fight. You hear my chicken? I'm cooking some chicken breast. I just put it in the little fryer. You heard it? It was sizzling hot. I wish I had some fish. Hey, Alan. Oh, Chris ain't thinking about shit. Chris, like, I'm glad he did. I can't even get up there and say nothing about nothing. Chris admitted on the stand that he did this devastation. And they probably gonna go have drinks with Chris. Ain't nobody thinking about them. Yeah, I got me some. I put some chicken in a skillet. I'm gonna make me a salad. I'm gonna put me some chicken breast over a salad. At least that's what I think I'm gonna do. I be trying. Yeah, that's what he doing. He out chilling. Everybody was Kung Fu fighting. That's another Martin thing. Sorry, y'all. Y'all remember Kung Fu Man on Martin. If somebody don't get Martin out of my head, I'm gonna be a lost soul. Oh gosh, that was the Kung Fu Man on there. When he did that thing, he would always get beat up by his the guy he was mentor, and he had on that thing. He was like, everybody was Kung Fu fighting. I better stop. You say you doing air fryer wings? Yeah, I put me some. I'm making like two things because I cook multiple meals because everybody in here eat differently. Yeah. Oh, Chris ain't in the courtroom. Chris at home. Chris don't even stay there. Chris somewhere else. He's somewhere chilling. Just chilling. He like bro man from the 5th floor. Bro man, 5th floor. Oh my. He at home chilling. I can't deal.
Yeah. Lights on, shadow wake. What's the move tonight? Sweet pea in the room. Yeah, you know the vibe, right? Quick shot, mind cutting through the noise. Got the whole room laughing when she drops her voice. Eyes on the screen and she reads the whole room. From drugs to facts, she's ahead of the boom. Not just talk, yeah, she bringing receipts. When Sweet Pea speaks, everybody hits repeat. She don't just show up, she sets the tone. One laugh from her in the chat's blown. Smart, funny feelings, yeah, that's the code. Main character, energy fully in mode. Sweet pea, say it louder when she enters the scene. Sweet pea, got the jokes, got the facts, got the mean. When she talks, everybody leans in. Sweet pea, yeah, you know she always wins. One line of queen, yeah, she never miss. Turn a quiet room into a viral clip. Brains and humor in a perfect blend. When Sweet Pea starts talking, that's the trend. Say it again, who runs the chat? Sweet Pea, yeah, that's that. Sweet pea, yeah, you know she always wins. Late night glow from 1,000 screens. Everybody watching, nobody seeing the same thing. One line drops, tension in the air. Half truth, half theory. Somebody already there. We don't just scroll, we decode. Read between what they said and what they show. Quiet minds with loud ideas. You feel it shift when the chat appears. Not here for drama, not here for the show. We're here for the patterns that nobody else knows. We're the signal in the noise. Low voices, sharp choices. Every thought hits like a flare in the dark. We're the signal in the noise. No scripts, just voices. When the chat moves, yeah, it leaves a mark. Someone jokes, someone pulls the facts. Someone notices what they tried to hide in the gaps. No spotlight, but the room look long enough. Say it soft, say it slow. Who really runs the flow? Not the screen, not the host, it's the chat. Yeah, you know.
When the live stream flickers on and Sweet Pea takes a stand, Lynn is already there, coffee in hand. She settles in for the long trials, the twists and the turns, with a loyal heart and steady eyes that never miss a word. She's a constant in the courtroom, a familiar shining face, always ready for the arguments, the tension and the pace. And when the evidence is messy or the stories sound untrue, she leans forward just a little. Lynn knows what to do, 'cause Lynn thinks everyone is guilty, every suspect, every tale. Melody Ferris guilty, she says without fail, but Dr. Rachel shakes her head. Sure, the son is to blame, still Lynn stands firm, her verdict stays the same. Oh, she brings the truth with a calm, steady light, and her presence is a comfort on every trial night. She listens with devotion through each objection and plea, through the cross-exams and pauses. She's where she needs to be, in the sea of courtroom chaos where tempers sometimes flare. Lynn remains unshaken, a voice of reason there. And though the chat may chatter and the theories may divide, Lynn's perspective never wavers. She speaks with honest pride. She keeps the room grounded when emotions run loose, a quiet force reminding us she's here to find the truth. Yes, Lynn thinks everyone is guilty, that's just her way. From the first opening statement to the end of the day, Dr. Rachel can argue the son's the one at fault, but Lynn won't budge. She's rendered her final thought. We appreciate her always for her loyalty and her proof, 'cause the chat shines a little brighter when Lynn brings the truth.
Y'all think her grocery list real long? She ain't doing no back there writing a grocery list. Man. Hey, Eleanor, how are you? I know, I know. It left a lot of people disappointed in the way things go, but I'm happy to hear that they have somebody looking at his case, and unfortunately, he may have to spend a little bit more time, but I'm glad that they're going to have somebody take a second look at it. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, you came back as we in the same courtroom, and boy, oh boy. Yeah, Eleanor, if you anything like me, I'm just gonna take it all out on Corey Richards next week. Like we're gonna be over there in Utah and we're gonna do a deep dive this weekend. So guys, if y'all have some time on Saturday, I am going to do a deep dive. I don't know a lot about Corey Richardson. Look, I can't even say her name. I'm about to call her Richardson all the time. Corey Richards. But what I could tell y'all is me and her not cool already. Because she reminds me so much of the dynamics of Natalie Cocker. And when we watched that one hearing and she was kind of like smirking and laughing, I was like, well, who is this lady and what is she about and what is she doing? So I decided I was going to do a deep dive because we are going to be covering the Corey Richards case next week. And yeah, y'all little sweet pea, I don't know much about it. So I'm going to learn as we go along and look at documents and video footage with you guys. Yes, she would definitely have to be the watch. She would definitely have to be the boss of that today. Yes, I'm pretty excited to, the little things that I am hearing about it. I do think that what happens with us is that with some of these cases when they come up, because I see a lot of people talking about it, right? I don't know. Some stuff be just sounding stupid to me, but yeah, some of this stuff be sounding so silly to me. Like I don't even be understanding why they be going, but we shall see. I'm trying to find some other little stuff on there. I don't know. Y'all better not be talking about Judge Lisa. Yeah, I'm like so worried tonight. I gotta shut down my computer. I gotta write down all my passwords so I can shut down my computer so it can do an update. Like, do your updates on your own time, computer. Like, and make sure I don't have to remember all my passwords before you do it. Such a crock of crap. I gotta figure out how to get this one longer.
Chistositos, preguntas bien chidas, sharp like a blade. Cross exam queen, nunca tiene afraid, and that dance so spicy. Cali Mystics glow, she brings the fuego, everybody knows. Cuando Jason llega, ay caray, she flirts poquito. He just says hi, sweet pea laughs. Aquí vamos otra vez, SD drops the fuego and the chat says yes. She's fuego, fuego, lighting up the show, Tex-Mex in the chat, everybody knows. Con su risa, su vibra y su pelo tan cool, she turns the live stream to a cumbia at the pool. Fuego, fuego, ST's the queen, Spanglish magic en la chat screen. When she pops on camera, we all say que show. Latina sparkle with that California glow. Los mos la quieren, they hype her name. She adds flair y sabor to the game. ¿Qué onda, gente? And here comes the fun. El chat se enciende like under the sun. When she teases Jason, boy, behave. But without a chaos, this chat ain't the same. Bailalo, mija, with your Tex-Mex vibe. Bring the cumbia flow, keep it alive. Stay with the groove, don't ever stop. Shake up the stream till we're all on top. She's fuego, fuego. Let her up the show, Tex-Mex in the chat. Everybody knows. Con su risa, su vibra y su pelo tan cool, she turns the live stream to a Latin dance floor boom. Fuego, fuego, ST's the queen, Spanglish magic en la chat screen. Each girl sparkle, courtroom delight. SD keeps the chat shining bright. Sweet pea, the mods, we all agree. Take it to trial, ain't the same without SD.
It's after dark, where the filters fall, where we talk about the things you don't say at all. Sweet peas in the chair saying, tell it how it is. We unpack real life, not just courtroom biz. It's opinions, confessions, messy and true. Real talk, real laughs, and a grown-up view. Not gossip, not drama, it's truth with style. You can plead the fifth, but we'll still see you smile. We don't tiptoe around the hard conversation. We break it down with truth and speculation. Therapy, law, comedy, insight. That's what trial talk sounds like at night. Take it to trial after dark, where the real ones speak and the truth hits hard. No scripts, no filters, no playing polite. We say what we think after day turns to night. Turn up the talk, let opinions ignite. Take it to trial after dark tonight. Film freaks got receipts in the hidden scenes. TYK breaks it down like a therapy machine. Rachel keeps the facts sharp, logical, tight. Pretty brown girls got the clapbacks on sight. Fowler keeps the peace, well she tries at least. Morelia drops gems when the topics get deep. And Jason walks in with that wise guy grin, and the chat yells, here comes the chaos again. Not late night drama, late night perspective. Big brain debates that get introspected. It's real, it's bold, it's thought and fire. And it hits different when the lights get quieter. Take it to trial after dark, where the real ones speak and the truth hits hard. No scripts, no filters, no playing polite. We say what we think after day turns to night. Turn up the talk, let opinions ignite. Take it to trial after dark tonight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, say my bird.
Yeah. Here comes Barbara in the chat, girl, she right on time. Sweet pea got the trials rolling, Barbara dropping the lines. She's a mama to two boys, gives them love every day. Autism warriors in her home, and she leads the way. And her husband's been through storms, but she's holding them down. A caretaker with a halo and a medical crown. With that nursing background, baby, she knows the game. First aid on the timeline and receipts on the frame. She's looking for the missing kids, like a mission from above. Heart, big feet moving, she's a justice power dove. And generous as heaven, giving spirit on display. Barbara lifts this whole community in her own special way. Cause Barbara don't play. She's calling out lies in the courtroom hallway. She thinks P. Diddy's guilty as hell, okay. And she don't take crap from any man, no way. She's riding with Sweet Pea every single day. And take it to trial, she forever gon' stay. And when therapist, you know, starts acting up, Barbara busts his chops like, boy, that's enough. Yeah, she be laughing in the chat, cracking jokes left and right. Keeping spirits lifted even in the darkest night. A supporter of the channel, honey, loyal and true. If Sweet Pea goes live, you know Barbara's there too. She brings fire to the panel, hopes the tribe survive. She's the kind of chatter every channel hopes for. A legend in the chat room, say no more, cause Barbara don't play. She's calling out lies in the courtroom hallway. She thinks P. Diddy's guilty as hell, okay? And she don't take crap from any man, no way. She's riding with Sweet P every single day. And take it to trial, she forever gon' stay. And when therapist, you know, starts acting up, Barbara busts his chops like, boy, that's enough. So here's to Barbara, our queen of the screen. A hero, a mama, a courtroom machine. For the missing, for justice, for family, she stands. And she gives with a heart bigger than the whole damn land. Take it to trial, loves you, girl. Now drop that gavel in your hands.
You say where Barbara at? Oh no, Barbara. I think Barbara like doing. I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue. Come on, ride the train and ride it. Ain't no telling what this lady doing. Come on, ride the train and ride it. I don't know, but I did put at the top if anybody wants to support. They do have a fund going up for the support of Mr. Faust, his appeal fund. So anybody that is interested in looking at it, please don't hesitate to look at that. If you're interested in doing it. But I heard that somebody was going to do it pro bono. So I don't know. But I guess anything will help, even if they are doing it pro bono. You say add and eat her deny. That's what she doing. I believe it. I believe it. I definitely believe it. Yeah, whatever she doing, don't take that long.
Yeah. Yeah, lights on, chat awake. What's the move tonight? Sweet P in the room, yeah, you know the vibe, right? Quick, sharp mind cutting through the noise. Got the whole room laughing when she drops her voice. Eyes on the screen, yeah, she reads the whole room. From drugs to facts, she's ahead of the boom. Not just a talk, yeah, she bringing receipts. When Sweet P speaks, everybody hits repeat. She don't just show up, she sets the tone. One line from her in the chat's blown. Smart, funny feelings, yeah, that's the code. Main character energy fully in mode. Whoa. Sweet P, say it louder when she enters the scene. Sweet P, got the jokes, got the facts, got the mean. When she talks, everybody leans in. Sweet P, yeah, you know she always wins. One line of queen, yeah, she never miss. Turn a quiet room into a viral clip. Brains and humor in a perfect blend. When Sweet P starts talking, that's the trend. Say it again, who runs the chat? Sweet P, yeah, that's that. Sweet P, yeah, you know she always wins.
I be trying to win. I be trying to win. I don't know if I always win, but I definitely be trying to win. Where's Ty? I don't know. Ty, are you lurking? Because sometimes she be lurking. She be lurking and working. I ain't gonna say she be lurking and twerking, but I know she be lurking and working. I don't know. I don't know where Tanya at.
Late night glow from 1,000 screens. Everybody watching, nobody seeing the same thing. One line drops, tension in the air. Half truth, half theory. Somebody already there. We don't just scroll, we decode. Read between what they said and what they showed. Quiet minds with loud ideas. You feel it shift when the chat appears. Not here for drama, not here for the show. We're here for the patterns that nobody else knows. We're the signal in the noise, low voices, sharp choices. Every thought hits like a flare in the dark. We're the signal in the noise, no scripts, just voices. When the chat moves, yeah, it leaves a mark. Someone jokes, someone pulls the facts, someone notices what they tried to hide in the gaps. No spotlight, but the room feels tight. Truth doesn't shout, it arrives quiet. Different minds, same frequency, not followers, we're a community. They think it's random, they think it's luck, but patterns don't lie when you look long enough. Say it soft, say it slow. Who really runs the flow? Not the screen, not the host, it's the chat. Yeah, you know. You know.
So I think what I'll do, I mean, I know we waiting, and it ain't no reason for us to kind of move from here. I know the next room that we gonna go into is gonna be our wife in the tank trial. We gonna just go directly into that one. I know that we still have testimony from today's trial from the school, from Colin, but I figure it's only a small amount, so we'll just put it with tomorrow's testimony if that's okay. Then that way I don't have to worry about opening up another room, so we'll just go right into the wife's trial in the tank and see what that's about. Let me see. So just so y'all know what our plan is after we get out of here. I wonder how much longer like that trial is going to be. Yeah, next week will be a tough week for us. At least in the beginning, it's going to be a tough week for us. Considering we're going to have about 3 trials that we're going to be in next week for a little bit. I'm going to see how we're going to handle it. We may push one to the weekend. I don't know. We'll figure it out. You say free false. Arrest Chris. Oof. I don't know. They getting these parents. I just seen something on Facebook. I don't know if y'all heard that Florida father gets 37 years for manslaughter after his 15-year-old son's deadly crash killed a family of 4. Have y'all heard about that one? I don't know. It's starting to make you rethink if you want to even have kids out here in these streets. Alice said, "Shit, arrest the judge." Now that is funny. Now that's funny. He said, "Arrest the judge." Don't even arrest Chris, just arrest the judge. Oh man, that is funny. That's my type of party. Just arrest the daggone judge. She foul. I can't believe that they got up there and they wouldn't even say. She was like, "Hey, I'm his cousin, and we first cousins, and I know that he's not a monster." Like, whoa. I mean, I guess you can't say who your witness is. I'm wondering why his boo thing didn't come up there. Why his boo thing didn't come up there and speak on his behalf? Like, I didn't know him all my life. We'd have been together. He is a loving father. And does he have any kids or anything? I'm really surprised. She done making a grocery list. Y'all see that big photo? That's a grocery list.
Yes, sir. Did you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. I had an opportunity to look at the law. We withdraw the merger. I did look at the law from 2001 in regards to aggravated sodomy and rape. We withdraw the merger from that count. Count 1 was correct. You have the option of life or life without parole. Count 6 is correct. It's still 1 through 20 years. But we would change our request to count 7. The minimum is 10 years, so we'd ask for 10 years. And that's in regards to the aggravated sodomy. Count 8, rape, is 10 to 20 or life. We would ask that the Honorable Court exercise its discretion and sentence Mr. Faust to the 10 years, and count 10 as well as the 10 through 30. We would ask the Honorable Court to exercise its discretion and sentence Mr. Faust to the 10 years. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, counsel. I'm actually going to give you both, all 3 of you, 15 minutes to do some homework. And here's why. The state has asked the court to sentence this defendant to the maximums, and the defense has asked the court not to do that. And of course, the 2001 law is not something that is readily accessible and readily available, and it is a little bit different than the law now. The question I have for both counsel is, pursuant to the rape statute and also to 1710 6.1, what your position is on whether the rape charge carries the possibility of life without the possibility of parole. I'm doing some research based on the state's request and the defense's request as to whether in 2001 that was a possibility. 1710 6.1 is the violent felony, the statute that applies to violent felonies. And I think there is an understanding among cases that happened back then that the count of rape could carry with it the possibility of life without the possibility of parole. I'm going to ask the 3 of you to look at that. I'll give you 15 minutes. I'm going to go finish my research. I'm asking you to do that because both parties have asked for opposite ends of the sentencing structure. State has asked for the maximum, which they are contending is life on that charge, on the rape charge. The defense is asking, of course, for that not to be considered. And so because of that, I'm going to ask you all to look at that. Yes, sir. Anything before I leave the bench? All right, I'll be back in 15 minutes. Thank you.
Not another break. Good grief. Hey, Barb.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, say my bird.
Yeah. Here comes Barbara in the chat, girl, she right on time. Sweet Pea got the trials rolling, Barbara dropping the lines. She's a mama to 2 boys, gives them love every day. Autism warriors in her home, and she leads the way. And her husband's been through storms, but she's holding them down. A caretaker with a halo and a medical crown. With that nursing background, baby, she knows the game. First aid on the timeline and receipts on the frame. She's looking for the missing kids, like a mission from above. Heart, big feet moving, she's a justice powered dove, and generous as heaven, giving spirit on display. Barbara lives this whole community in her own special way. cause Barbara don't play. She's calling out lies in the courtroom hallway. She thinks P. Diddy's guilty as hell, okay? And she don't take crap from any man, no way. She's riding with Sweet P every single day. And take it to trial, she forever gon' stay. And when therapist, you know, starts acting up, Barbara busts his chops like, boy, that's enough. Yeah, she be laughing in the chat, cracking jokes left and right. Keeping spirits lifted even in the darkest night. A supporter of the channel, honey, loyal and true. If Sweet P goes live, you know Barbara's there too. She brings fire to the panel, brings fun to the fam. Typing fast with that says, girl, she don't give a damn if a troll tries to flex. She just swats him away. Not today, sweetheart, that's the Barbara way. When the courtroom drags, she keeps the vibe alive. When the mod squad's tired, she helps the tribe survive. She's the kind of chatter every channel hopes for. A legend in the chat room, say no more, cause Barbara don't play. She's calling out lies in the courtroom hallway. She thinks P. Diddy's guilty as hell, okay? And she don't take crap from any man, no way. She's riding with Sweet P every single day. And take it to trial, she forever gon' stay. And when therapist, you know, starts acting up, Barbara busts his chops like, boy, that's enough. So here's to Barbara, our queen of the screen. A hero, a mama, a courtroom machine. For the missing, for justice, for family she stands. And she gives with a heart bigger than the whole damn land. Take it to trial, loves you, girl. Now drop that gavel in your hands.
It's after dark, where the filters fall, where we talk about the things you don't say at all. Sweet Pea's in the chair saying, tell it how it is. We unpack real life, not just courtroom biz. It's opinions, confessions, messy and true. Real talk, real laughs, and a grown-up view. Not gossip, not drama, it's truth with style. You can plead the fifth, but we'll still see you smile. We don't tiptoe around the hard conversation. Oh, oh, oh. We break it down with truth and speculation. Therapy, law, comedy, insight. That's what trial talk sounds like at night. Take it to trial after dark, where the real ones speak and the truth hits hard. No scripts, no filters, no playing polite. We say what we think after day turns to night. Turn up the talk, let opinions ignite. Take it to trial after dark tonight. Film freaks got receipts in the hidden scenes. TYK breaks it down like a therapy machine. Rachel keeps the facts sharp, logical, tight. Pretty brown girls got the clapbacks on sight. Fowler keeps the peace, well she tries at least. Morelia drops gems when the topics get deep. And Jason walks in with that wise guy grin. And the chat yells, here comes the chaos again. Not late night drama, late night perspective. Big brain debates that get introspected. It's real, it's bold, it's thought and fire. And it hits different when the lights get quieter. Take it to trial after dark, where the real ones speak and the truth hits hard. No scripts, no filters, no playing polite. We say what we think after day turns to night. Turn up the talk, let opinions ignite. Take it to trial after dark tonight. Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah, yeah, lights on, shadow awake. What's the move tonight? Sweet P in the room, yeah, you know the vibe, right? Quick, quick, sharp mind cutting through the noise. Got the whole room laughing when she drops her voice. Eyes on the screen and she reads the whole room. From jokes to facts, she's ahead of the boom. Not just her talk, yeah, she bringing receipts. When Sweet P speaks, everybody hits repeat. She don't just show up, she sets the tone. One line from her in the chat's blown. Smart, funny feelings, yeah, that's the code. Main character energy fully in mode. Whoa. Sweet P, Sweet P. Say it louder when she enters the scene. Sweet P, got the jokes, got the facts, got the mean. When she talks, everybody leans in. Sweet P, yeah, you know she always wins. One line of queen, yeah, she never miss. Turn a quiet room into a viral clip. Brains and humor in a perfect blend. When Sweet P starts talking, that's the trend. Say it again, who runs the chat? Sweet P, yeah, that's that. Sweet P, yeah, you know she always wins.
I don't know. I mean, they going through all of this, and she about to come back here and give him life times 3. Like I can't deal with people when they do stuff like that. Like I've been back here doing my grocery list, and I done came back and I decided that you get lifetime 3, and I will give you an extra life charge if I could. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it. You know, like when we did the sentencing for twerking Tina last week, or this week, was it this week? Maybe it was this week. The judge already knew what she was about to sentence twerking Tina to. You too, Barb. Yeah, she already knew what she's about to sentence the judge to sentence her to. So I don't understand that. I don't understand why this judge is taking so long. You about to give him triple life. Like, why is he wait? Maybe she want to act like she really seriously back there considering it. I don't know. These people is weird. Yeah, John, and that may be very well true, but she knows she about to give him triple life. Like, I don't even understand why we doing this. She knows she about to give it to him 3 times. I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to do when the jury has decided that you are guilty of something. I don't know what they do with that information. I can't believe did not one of them address her as judge. Nobody on his family side. They was like, hey girl, this my cousin here. This my first cousin. I done grew up with him all this time, and he is not a monster. He has his own family. Where's his kids at? Don't he got kids? I wonder why none of his kids came up there if he has kids. Like, you would have thought they was going out to the club, and they came late, fashionably. You know how that go. Hey girl, this my cousin here, and I just wanted to say that he is not guilty of the crimes that y'all trying to say he's guilty of, because I done known him all my life, and he is my first cousin. Boom. We were raised in the same household. My mama, his mama, everybody. Oh, I'm just mad at the fact that even with this being said and being done the way it is being done, like, she just gonna come back and give life to him. 3 times over. Yeah, like try to act like she a judge. That's right, Eleanor. Try to act like she a damn judge now. Like, I'm gonna look into all this stuff. Sit down, Mr. Cruz. You're wrong. Mr. Yamatubi, whatever his name is, Yamatachi. He right. Yamatachi. He right all the time. Oh, I would be lit. Like, he always right. Shoot. I mean, we had 3 of them come up there in a row. I cannot deal. I mean, I know we can't choose who our family is and how we be nervous and stuff in court, because I would have been probably up there like, yeah, hey, judge, this is my cousin, and I love him, and I just want people to practice. Like, I want you to practice before you come in. Yes, she does not. Maybe that's why they just said Yama Suzuki. Like, maybe that's why they don't respect her as a judge, because she is sitting up there and she does not have on a robe, and that's weird to me. And today she seemed like she mighty calm. Lisa, I'm his third cousin, and I ain't never seen him kill anybody. He never underlined anybody. He is not a monster. Like, I didn't want them to come up there and say that. I wanted them to come up there and say, look, this is my cousin. I love him. And, you know, he's been a hard worker. He's been doing this. He's been doing that. I wanted all of that to come out. I didn't want to know, like, he my cousin and he wouldn't do this because we all stayed in the same household and I know him. Girl, no. Yes, I need you to tell me what he has done in the past. What has he done? Like, what is he doing out here? That's what I wanted to hear. Like, I wanted to hear more about what his life story was about. Like, he got kids, you know, when they was talking about kids and grandkids, that's what I wanted them to focus on. And I do appreciate that they did apologize to our Baker's family, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, it become real hard when people don't respect the judge's not the jury's opinion and their decision. And when they get up there and they saying, oh, justice was not found, justice was not this, like, it's so sad, because even with them saying all that stuff, like, they still is what the jury say. So it's like all falling on deaf ears. And I'm pretty sure that Miss Lisa, or hey Lisa, I don't know if that rubbed the judge the right way, y'all, at all. Do you think that he didn't put on a good case, or you think that the problem was things that he was trying to get in, things that he was trying to take care of before the hearing started, before the trial started, that the judge was ignoring, the judge didn't allow, that caused the case to sink? That would be my only thing, because they tried to get the judge recused because she was not taking care of business the way she should have. Right, exactly, that right there. And you could tell that they were hurt, and I can hear it in their voices that they were hurt, but in the same token, you know, I just think I wanted them to bring more about what he was. And I wonder when he was telling them to make their statements and stuff, like what that was all about.
To counts 1 through 12 you'd like for the court to consider?
I do. My other 2 witnesses just arrived, Your Honor.
All right, you may present your witnesses, sir.
Hey, my name is Katrina Faust.
Good afternoon.
Edrick Faust isn't a monster. He is a very lovely, funny, and hardworking person. Edrick will always be my cousin, my brother, and I ask God to protect him. I pray to God to give him strength every day and to keep his mind together. And his family will keep fighting for justice for him. Edrick Faust isn't the killer. He was accused as the killer, but he isn't the killer. And he also have a family that love him. And we're going to keep fighting for justice for him as long as it take. And I'm sorry for the Baker family. And I'm sorry for my family had to keep grieving over this. Because it's been very hard for the Faust family too.
Thank you. Anything from the state, Mr. Yelmichilli?
No, Your Honor.
You may call your next witness.
My name is Shonda Smith, and I would like to speak in reference to my cousin. I'm his first cousin, Edrick Faust, and I would like to say, Your Honor, my name is Shonda Smith. I stand before you today on behalf of my cousin, Edrick Faust. This is an incredible, difficult moment for our family. We are watching someone we love face sentences while firmly believing in our hearts that he is an innocent man and he has been wrongly convicted. Edrick is more than what has been presented in this courtroom. He is a son, a father, a cousin, a brother, a man of faith who has always been a source of support in our family. This man, he knows he's kind, he's compassionate, and he's deeply valued by those who truly know him. As a family rooted as our family rooted in faith, we believe in justice, but we also believe in mercy, grace, compassion, and the truth. God sees what we cannot see. God knows what we do not know. We humbly ask, as you determine the sentence, we consider his character, his strong support system that stands behind him. And I hope that this still remains in his future, if you could see his future as a loving, bright, intelligent man. Thank you for allowing me to speak. As I do love my cousin, I hope the Baker family finds justice because this is not it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from the state, Mr. Yelmichilli?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Cruz, any other witnesses?
No, ma'am. Just discussion regarding sin.
Yeah, see, I thought he was the best.
Good afternoon. My name is Tijuana DeBose.
Good afternoon.
I stand here today heartbroken, not just for Edrick, but for the Baker family. I have witnessed this for the last couple of years, and it's very heartbreaking. I'm sorry what has happened, but I just ask that you guys just look at my cousin as not being a murderer, because he's not. I understand that something did happen, but he wasn't the one that did it. I understand the Baker family would like to have peace and justice for what has happened to their daughter, but at the same time, you have the wrong guy. If I wasn't here myself, if someone told me what happened, I would say, this is not true. But I witnessed everything, and the things that I witnessed, I can say everything was wrong. Everything was done wrong here. I understand people had a job to do and they want to protect themselves and their job and their family. But at the same time, it's two families that did not get justice. Edrick Faust's family did not get justice, and the Baker family still don't have justice. So I just ask that God continue to step in, to guide us and lead us and direct us to the right person that did do this. But as you guys do what you have to do, you have the wrong guy. And I stand here today and I firmly agree on what I say. I'm the first cousin of Edrick Faust. We grew up together. I knew him. I'm 48 years old. We're just a couple of years of difference. but I've been here and I know the things that Edrick done. Our grandmother has been in our lives, and Edrick is a good person, but I'm not going to say everything he has done in his life has been good, because everything I've done has not been good. But at the same time, I don't feel like you should get punished for something that you didn't do. So I just ask you guys to just do what you have to do, but at the same time, know that God has the last word. I love you.
Thank you. Anything, Mr. Yellenchilly from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr. Cruz, in terms of witnesses?
No, ma'am.
All right. And anything else you'd like to tell the court with regard to counts 1 through 12, just
Yes,
as the
ma'am.
state did? Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Your Honor, I ask the honorable court to exercise its discretion. I understand in count 1, malice murder, the jury found Mr. Faust guilty of malice murder, and the honorable court, the only option the honorable court has is life with or life without parole. We would ask the honorable court to, in regards to count 1, for the lesser sentence, which is life, the lesser sentence, which is life with parole, in regards to count 1. Counts 2 through 5, those vacate as a matter of law. Count 6, our request is a 1-year sentence on the burglary, Your Honor. And as the honorable court is aware, and I stated before, our system is a system of laws, and we have to respect the jury's verdict. The reason I'm asking for 1 year on the burglary count, Your Honor, is based on evidence that the honorable court heard, which is the state providing to the jury that they couldn't show that Mr. Faust or how Mr. Faust got into the home. The honorable court could weigh the evidence in regards to the burglary charge. The honorable court is aware, and the honorable court can make a decision as to whether or not the evidence was overwhelming that Mr. Faust broke into Ms. Baker's home. So that's why we're asking for 1 year on the burglary count to be served concurrent. And that's count 6. Count 7, in regards to aggravated sodomy, and that was the oral sodomy. The honorable court's discretion is only from 25 years to life. If the honorable court issues a sentence of 25 years, I believe the statute requires that the remaining portion, if I'm not mistaken, is remainder of probation for life, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm asking the honorable court in regards to the aggravated sodomy oral for the lesser sentence, in regards to the court's discretion, which is 25 years, I would ask that that sentence is concurrent to count 1. And if I didn't state it with count 6, I'm also asking the 1 year is concurrent to count 1. In regards to count 8, Your Honor, I believe count 8 and count 10 merge based on the language of the indictment. The language of the indictment provides that the basis for the rape in court's indulgence the indictment specifically alleges that Mr. Faust had carnal knowledge of Ms. Baker. However, when it comes to aggravated sodomy, which is count 10, which is the anal charge of aggravated sodomy, carnal knowledge includes anal sex, his sexual organ entering Ms. Baker's sexual organ. So we would say that count 8 and count 10 merges. In regards to count 10 merging into count 8, Your Honor, the honorable court's discretion is only 25 years to life, similar to count 7. We would ask the honorable court to exercise its discretion and sentence on the lower end, the 25 years with probation for life. We would ask that that is concurrent to count 1. In regards to count 9, aggravated assault, the honorable court is aware that the sentencing range is 1 year to 20 years. We would again ask for the lower end of that range, which is the, no, please forgive me. Aggravated assault merges into count 1 by law. So please forgive me. Count 9 merges into count 1 by law. As I mentioned in count 10 merges into count 8. Count 11, arson, 1 through 20 years. We're asking that the honorable court exercise its discretion and sentence Mr. Faust to 1 year concurrent with count 1. And in regards to count 12, I believe the statute does not give the honorable court discretion in regards to the sentence being consecutive. And I believe it's a 5-year consecutive sentence to count 1. So the total sentence that we're asking for is life with parole plus 5 years, which is the mandatory minimum that the honorable court could sentence Mr. Faust too. As a significant piece of the mitigation, as I mentioned, Your Honor, is that I hope the Honorable Court takes into account the evidence that came out in this case. I do believe when Mr. Faust was initially arrested, it caused an uproar in Athens because a lot of people assumed that, hey, we've got the right person. It's just based on this new technology that the GBI had. But once we came into the courtroom, Your Honor, the jury, the Honorable Court, and we respect the jury's verdict, I'm not relitigating that, but the Honorable Court, in regards to mitigation, heard significant evidence that was never stated before in regards to Mr. Melton's involvement in this case, in this crime, which was rejected by the jury, which I acknowledge. But the Honorable Court is also aware of the rulings that were adverse to the defense. And I'm sure the Honorable Court says, hey, it was 412, it was 412, it was 412. I respect the court's ruling. I disagreed on the record. But Your Honor, you could take everything that came into this case, all the information that came out in this courtroom, and you can make two choices. You can either say, hey, there were some questions in this case. By law, I'm required to sentence this way. I am going to use my discretion and sentence him to the lower end. It's still a life sentence, Your Honor. Or the Honorable Court could say, hey, I heard the information that came out in this case. I reject all of it, and I'm going to sentence him to what the state requested, which is the maximum sentence on everything. I am not from Athens. However, this case has caused a divide in Athens. Just like I witnessed, the Honorable Court had the opportunity to witness, this courtroom was split down, and I hate to even discuss it because it's a difficult topic to discuss, but the courtroom was split pretty much down racial lines. The Honorable Court made concerns and, had concerns and discussed social media with both counsel. I didn't look at social media until after a verdict was rendered in Mr. Faust's case. And the damage that this case has caused in the Athens community is mind-blowing. There's some people extremely upset. There's also some citizens that are extremely relieved. But Your Honor, in your position, you have the power to send a message, whether that's, I'm going to give Mr. Faust.
Okay, guys, I'm about to pass forward this when they are back.
I'm going to take into account.
She done making her grocery list.
All right, we're going to go back on the record. I'll speak to the state first. Anything else the state would like to add with regard to my comments about what is now the statute 1710.6.1?
Yes, Your Honor. And I looked at two cases during the time period the court gave us. The first is Velasquez v. State. It is a 2007 Court of Appeals case out of Georgia. Citation is 283, Georgia Appeals 863. There's no negative treatment for that case noted on Westlaw. And also Henry v. State, which is a Court of Appeals case from October 13th of 2017. And the citation on that is 343 Georgia Appeals 157. In Velasquez, the court states that, let's see, our Supreme Court held in State v. Ingram 266, Georgia 324, that a life sentence without parole was authorized only in cases in which the state first sought the death penalty, and we are bound to follow that precedent. And then in Henry, which is a case in which a life without parole sentence was imposed, but due to a 1710.7c recidivist situation, the court, again discussing Velasquez, states that Henry is correct that under normal sentencing, a trial court may not impose a sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole unless the state sought the death penalty in the case. I did see some of the cases which I think the court is making reference to. In the way that they read in the time period that we had, it seemed to be a situation in which the jury had found or not found, or the court had found or not found aggravating sentencing circumstances that refer back to the death penalty statute's definition of aggravating circumstances. So, and you know, there's always the possibility that I'm wrong, but it is my belief, although if the court were authorized to impose a life without parole sentence, I wholly think it would be appropriate under the circumstances of this case. However, I do believe that I have a responsibility to represent to the court what I believe the law to be, which is that we are limited to a sentence of life on both the murder, but also the rape. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Cruz, anything else that you would like to say? This is a legal issue, but we need to make sure we are certainly following all the requirements of the law, particularly as it relates to what the legislature intended in 2001. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't think I have a position here because we're not asking for a life sentence when it comes to the rape charge, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. The reason that the court wanted to ask counsel to look at the law on that is because both sides are, of course, diametrically opposed, really with regard to count 8, which is the rape count. And the court had a memory of some of the law from 2001 as it related to sentencing. 1710 6.1 was a different statute in 2001, but the idea of 1710 6.1 was the same back then in 2001. And that particular charge, rape, falls under that statute as a serious violent felony. There are orders, particularly one out of the Superior Court of Clark County, that, which was not overturned, supports the notion that under the recidivism notice and statute, that a maximum sentence for a rape charge back in 2001 supports the possibility of life without the possibility of parole. The question then becomes, if that is correct, is whether the recidivism relates back to anything prior to 2001, or does it relate to something after 2001? And so that certainly can be up for debate, and we're not going to debate that now based on the state's not seeking that maximum sentence. The maximum that they are seeking in count 8 is life, and so we will leave it at that. But that is the reason I wanted to ask both of you to look at the law and see really what was applicable in 2001, because both parties, of course, are diametrically opposed in terms of the maximum and minimum amount the court can allow. All right. With that being said, Mr. Yellowman-Chili, anything else from you?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Cruz, anything else, sir?
No, ma'am. We'll just note for our record the recidivist notice objection that we made prior.
I understand, Mr. Cruz, and I want to respond to that very quickly. Looking online to make sure that my notes comport with what I saw online, the notice that the state referred to in their discovery, which was filed with the court, was from April the 2nd of 2025. It was entitled the State's Notice and Recidivism Notice in Discovery. That was from April 2nd of 2025. The notice that the state is relying on now, that the defense has responded to, of course, the 3 felonies that they have enumerated in their notice, is from October 2nd of 2025. And so anything further, Mr. Cruz, you'd like to say about that? All right.
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. All right. Very good. All right.
Record clear. So from October 2nd, 2025, is aggravated assault, BGCSA, 2 counts of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act offenses. Looking at the recidivism statute, I'm just saying these are the offenses that we have notice of. The state has asked the court to take to consider other offenses that there was no notice given. The state's argument when we brought this up initially was that, hey, in discovery, we just filed a general notice and whatever could be used as for purposes of recidivism. Our argument, it does not. It has to be specific. So we are on notice of these 3 specifics.
Thank you. All right. So I just want to respond to that very briefly. The law allows the state to provide notice in the manner in which it did. from April the 2nd of 2025, their general notice in their discovery that they filed with the court, and of course, the actual notice that they provided the defense on October the 2nd. I will say, however, that the court is going to take into account in sentencing Mr. Faust the notice that was filed October 2nd that the defense has no objection to, and that is the one that I will certainly take into account in sentencing. With regard to this case and sentencing and taking into account the notice that was filed on October 2nd of 2025, the state's argument about sentencing and the defense's argument about sentencing, the court finds as follows. Mr. Faust, please stand. This court finds, based upon the evidence presented at trial and the jury's verdict, that a sentence involving rehabilitation is not appropriate in this case. And I'm going to sentence you, Mr. Faust, as follows. With regard to count 1, life. Counts 2 through 5 are what we call in the legal world vacated. That means no sentence, and that is imposed as a matter of law. Those are the felony murder counts. With regard to count 6, which is the burglary charge, 20 years consecutive to counts 8 and 10, which I will get to in a moment. With regard to count 7, which is the first aggravated sodomy charge, 30 years, and 20 years is 20 years confinement. Count 7 is 30 years in confinement. That is concurrent with count 1. Count 8, the rape charge, is life. That is consecutive to count 1, which is the other life sentence. With regard to count 9, the court agrees that count 9 does merge with count 1 as a matter of law, and that's the aggravated assault charge. With regard to count 10, which is the other aggravated sodomy charge, the court imposes 30 years in confinement. That is consecutive to count 1 and 7. That is also concurrent with count 8. Count 11, which is the arson and the first degree charge, the court imposes 20 years of confinement consecutive to count 6. And count 12, which is possession of a knife during the commission of a felony, the court imposes 5 years in confinement. That is consecutive to count 11. The order of the court are 2 consecutive life sentences to be imposed, plus an additional 45 years to be served in confinement. That'll be the order of the court. You are in custody. Thank you. Court is adjourned.
God.
And everyone, please remain seated until the Sheriff's Department determines who can leave and when they can leave. Thank you very much for your cooperation.
Whew. Ah, damn, I don't even know what to say about that. Gee whiz. I knew he was gonna get lifetimes, life. Like, I didn't think he was gonna get anything different than what she gave him. Life, double life, triple life. God damn. Talk about hitting it up. And 45 years, so you can die, come back, die again, and then you still got to do 45. Shoot, that right there. I don't know what you do with that. Wow, and especially if you find out that he didn't do it. I wonder what they gonna go. They got it up under appeal. They'll figure it out. But golly. Talking about socking it to him. Shit. I don't know what to say, y'all. That's crazy. I mean, it ain't much. I mean, I guess at this point in time, it's not really much that she could do, in all honesty, because it is kind of what it is at this point. But for us to even get here with all the rulers and stuff, that's why I was like, even if it was some stuff done wrong, like there's nothing that she can do to change it. Like she couldn't do nothing, not at this point in time, not that I'm aware of. Yeah, he is done. He is done. Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Hopefully they get everything together and get what he needs in place to file his appeals appropriately. Because man, oh man, oh man. That's messed up. That's crazy. Like he was at Walmart one day, getting off work, buying him some Simply lemonade. Police bum rush him, and then he in jail, and he in jail for the rest of his life. And they got his DNA with a illegal, let me say illegal search and seizure. Yeah, I mean, like I'm pretty. We all, yeah, all of us kind of probably knew, right? Like he didn't stand a chance. I'm getting our next room together. Let me give y'all the link so y'all can go over there. We will keep updated on this. If I see anything come through, of course, I will let you guys know as we are, continue to follow along with any appeals that he has. It does, like I said, Mr. Collin, and the link is at the top if anybody wants to donate to his fund for his appeal. There does look like there's an attorney that reached out to Mr. Faust's attorney and in regards to doing a deep dive to determine if it's appeal of what things they can appeal or not appeal regarding his case. So here's the link so we can watch the wife in the tank murder trial. If you click on that link, it'll take you directly into that trial, and we'll start our day with that one. I appreciate you guys hanging out. New members, new subscribers, new chatters, family and friends. I will see you over in the wife in the tank trial if you are joining us. If you are not, and you will be joining us for I bought my son a gun trial, we will be back in the courtroom at 7. All right, guys, I will see you over there.